Anybody? If it's 7 o'clock and 7 hours pass, what time is it? Two o'clock, right? That's what this means. It's on mod 12. Every 12 numbers it repeats. It goes in a circle. Mod 12 is a thing in higher level mathematics, and actually it's not really that higher. I mean, you can use it in algebra. That means after you get to a certain number, you repeat back to 1, right? A clock is mod 12. After you get to 12, it goes back to 1. It doesn't go to 13, right? I want to look at things differently in here. I want to test your perspective more or less. I want to teach you how to learn. Let's talk about learning. Who did the ice cream thing where they had to like memorize their times tables? Who did that? Just you guys, or are you guys too young to have done that? Someone did it. It was middle school or elementary. What was it? You weren't here. What year in school was that? Elementary? Okay, gotcha. All right, so you guys might be too young to know that. He's a little bit older. But anyway, what they had to do is they had to memorize their times tables, and if you memorized all your ones, you got a little scoop of ice cream in your ice cream bowl in the back. And at the end of the year, the more you memorized, you actually got that bowl of ice cream. Did you do that?
Yeah, I think I did that in like 5th.
Yeah, okay. That's child abuse. This is wrong. And it's also not education, right? Because all it does is it makes the kids at the bottom that didn't get as much ice cream, that aren't as good as memorizing, that aren't good at school, not good at learning, right? There's a difference. You can go through high school and college and not learn a damn thing. That was me, okay? You can BS your way through that and get A's and B's. That was me. So those kids who aren't good at school and aren't good at memorizing feel like crap and feel like dummies already by 5th grade or 3rd grade. And they've already decided, school's not for me. I can't learn. That's stupid. That's the risk. The reward was, great, when someone asks you 5 times 5, you know how to say 25. You don't know why it's 25 necessarily, but you know it is. Here's a perfect example of learning versus memorization. Who can tell me what 12 times 14 is? You were in my algebra class. That's not fair. You learned how to learn. What? 164? How'd you come up with it?
Well, I knew 12 times 12 was...
Hell yeah. All right, check it out. If I asked you 12 times 12, what's 12 times 12? 144. Everyone's fairly familiar with that one. That's a pretty popular one. If you don't know it, that's okay. But everybody in the world, more or less, can memorize 12 times 12. I could have picked 5 times 5, something like, you know what I mean, right? Whatever you have memorized. And then what you did was clever. That's learning. That's understanding. You said, I know 12 times 12 is 144. So 12 times 14 is just 2 more groups of 12, right? 144 plus 12. 156. 156 plus 12. 168. Close, right? So he got the wrong answer. Does that mean he's dumb? No, he's actually pretty smart because he came up with a really smart way of going about it. That is what learning is. It's not about the answers. It's about the method. Let me tell you a story what I did this summer. So, your boy had car trouble, okay? Earlier in the year, I didn't have heat. I didn't have anything right. I was having a coolant leak. And this summer, I was like, you know what? I'm going to fix it. Start doing the calculation, figure out it's going to cost me $3,000 easily. Easily. I just got done paying off my car payments. Your boy don't have that kind of money. So guess what he does? He goes on YouTube, just like he did earlier for math. That's a long story. Not a real math teacher, guys. I'm actually 1 credit short on the degree. Don't tell anybody. Let anybody teach this class. I took apart my engine completely, replaced a bunch of belts, water pump, all kinds of different things. Put it back together, no problem. She started up after I didn't start it. It didn't start correctly, and then I noticed a hose was off, and yeah, more or less, right? Fixed it. It was great. And the last thing I was going to do was do an oil change and coolant change, see if I could find a leak, right? And then maybe transmission fluid. You want to worry about transmission because, right, if you change the transmission fluid, it might be that gunky transmission fluid might be the only thing holding it together. And as soon as you change it for clean stuff, now it's not holding it together, right? If you change it on time, you don't have to worry about that. But if you leave it in there too long, it gets gunky, it grinds the gears, and it might be the only thing gluing it, right? So I was like, I won't do that. So it's super hot outside. It's going to be super hot the next day. And the place I just moved to in Silvis doesn't like your car being up on jacks because it looks bad or whatever, right? A little classist. Anyway, so at the end of the day, I have to take the jacks off and everything, you know, do all the stuff in the car, and then throw it in my car because I don't have a garage, right? I have nowhere to store this stuff. It's a pain in the ass to do this, right? And all I got left is an oil change, basically, and a coolant change. So I'm like, you know what? It's dark. I can't see what I'm doing. But I don't want to have to get that back up on jacks tomorrow. I just want to have to pour in the liquid and then start up the car, right? I can do that from the top. I don't need to get the jacks back out. So I go underneath the car, find the bolt, unscrew it, drain it, right? Drain the coolant, et cetera, and I call it a night. Put the bolts back in. Don't worry, I put them back in. Next morning I get up. I go out, I fill up the coolant, I fill up the oil. I didn't touch the transmission, so I don't need to do anything with that, right? I decided I needed to see what was going on before I drained it, right? And I start up the car. Starts up fine. Put it in drive. It goes backwards. I park it, and I think, I didn't touch the transmission. I did not touch the transmission. I took apart the whole freaking engine. I watched all the stuff on YouTube. I read the owner's manual. I know the transmission is separate from the engine. I did not touch it. Why am I going in reverse? Engine just turns on and makes power happen. Transmission decides which direction you go in. What's going on? So I put it in park. I turn off the car. Wait a couple seconds. Turn it back on again. I'm thinking, okay, maybe I'm on a hill a little bit. Maybe transmission fluid is sloshing a bit. Who knows, right? Turn it back on. Put it in drive. It goes forward. Okay. I'm in first gear. I'm heading out of my apartment complex, and I can tell it's being a little weird. But again, I've been sitting on a hill for a while. It's been like a month since I've been working on this thing. Maybe it's just got to get, I don't know. I'm being hopeful, right? I get to the end of the driveway, almost where the street is, and I want to turn back. So I pull into a parking spot. I go in reverse. Nothing happens. It's just still going forward, or it can, just sit there and slide backwards on the hill. I'm thinking, crap, what have I done? I put it in park, and I'm sitting there. I'm blocking half the entrance, right? Got landlords that absolutely hate me. Hey, what's up, Afton? So, and he's back on, I guess he's on Twitch now instead of on YouTube. Good for you. So anyway, I'm sitting there blocking half the driveway thinking, what is going on? I did not touch the transmission. But this is transmission. I know it is because I drove my grandpa's 87 Ford Ranger delivering Domino's a bunch of years ago. I was driving it in 2015, right? So this is an old truck, older than I am, right? And its transmission went out because I had to go back and forth out of driveways a bunch. So I know that's the issue. But I didn't touch it. Then I get an idea. Park the car. I pop the front. I go out there and I check the dipstick for the oil. Pull it out. It's covered in oil. That's normal. Wipe it off, right? Stick it back in there. If the dipstick has this much at the bottom covered by oil, you know it's full, right? If it's this much, then it's like half full. You need to add more. Well, I dip it in there, pull it out, and the oil's up to here. What did I do? I'm sorry? I overfilled my oil. Actually, I didn't. Not really. What does that have to do with the transmission? That's good. Any ideas? So I walk back to my house. I grab the transmission fluid. I put it in my car, fill it up, close the hood, go back in, turn it on, put it into drive, smooth. What's up, Blake? No issues. What I had done the night before when I went under my car to drain the oil, I couldn't see what I was doing. I grabbed the wrong bolt. I had drained the transmission fluid. And it was so old it looked like oil. It's supposed to be red. So I'd put in oil without draining in the old one. That's why the oil was so full. And I drained all the transmission fluid. Now, this is a lot like math. You think you know what you're doing. You're following all the steps. You did everything the teacher told you to, right? You take apart the whole frickin' engine, put it back together. You're a god. And then the car doesn't run. You're like, what? There must be some kind of magic I don't know about. That's how I felt. It's like there must be some kind of magic, like that mechanics know that other people don't. Right? Because I followed all the freaking steps. I checked it 12 times. There must be something else going on here that you have to be a god to understand, and if no one tells you, you just don't know. There's no way to know it, right? It's like, what's my grandpa's first name? You know my grandpa's first name? No, you don't. Does that make you stupid? No, because no one's told you. If I tell you it's Herb, which is true, does that make you smarter? No. You just didn't know. That's not how you judge smart or dumb. So I'm thinking there must be some magic, right? But no, there isn't some magic to it. You just have to know how things work. Now, if I graded you like that, right? At the end of the day, you took apart the whole freaking engine, put it all back, it was great, and then you screwed up an oil change, and I give you an F for it because, look, the car doesn't run. Does that represent how smart you are? No! But it's how we grade you all the time. You make one small mistake that has nothing to do with what we're really doing, and it's like, yeah, you're an idiot. Here's your grade. I'm tired of that crap. I'm not doing that this year. You should get an A because you took apart the whole engine and put it back together. And not only that, but you figured out, or at least I did in this story, what was actually going on with the car. How you react to these small mistakes is what I want to grade, what I want to assess, what I want to look at and give you feedback on. Not that you made the mistake, but that you're able to figure out what was going on and get around it. That is what mathematics and that is what learning is about. So here's what we're going to do this year. I'm not going to give you any grades on your quizzes either. I'm not really even going to give quizzes. Unless you want them. You want to add it to your portfolio to show that, look, I deserve something, right? Whatever you want to do, okay? No grades. All you're going to get is a piece of paper on the front that gives you feedback. You could have gotten 100%, right? And you're still going to get feedback. Things you could have done better, things that you didn't do so well, right? Things you did really well. You missed half the questions. Great. Here's a little bit of feedback to fix a few. We're going to treat this class like an English class where everything is a rough draft. Because I'm not interested in sending you home after learning something in first hour. 9 hours later, you get a homework assignment. And man, if you don't remember all of it, sorry, you get penalized. That's how homework works, right? That's not how learning works. No one learned something 9 hours ago and then has to be a master of it later. That's just not how it works. We're removing that. We're getting rid of all homework, more or less, and we're getting rid of grades as much as I possibly can. It's going to be the portfolio for everything. I want communication going on in this class. Feedback, back and forth. Real feedback without consequence, so we can be honest with each other. We can do our best work and be ready for critique. I don't want you to be afraid of getting a bad grade. I don't want you to have an incentive to cheat. I just want you to learn. This is going to be a different math class. Very different. You've never had a class like this. You never will. But I think it's going to be good for you guys. We're going to do a lot of writing this year. I feel like last spring, one of the two things happened last spring. Okay? Y'all fell apart and fell off the educational bandwagon, right? Y'all took naps instead of showing up to class, blah, 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 blah. And the geniuses, the 420, 69 IQ play, they're like, oh, I know why the kids didn't show up and why spring was a failure. It was because we didn't have grades. No. The reason it was a failure is because you had no reason to show up to class. School sucks normally, whether it's at home or here, right? You don't actually learn anything. You memorize a few things until you forget them. And you just move on until you get out of here and get a piece of paper. And God bless you for doing it. So when we ask you to show up to some crappy thing where the teacher's not even really there and watch a video and then do a homework assignment, of course you're not going to do it. The only thing keeping you here is you're forced to be here, and if you don't, you're going to get bad grades. And even that's not even that scary for some of you. That's the only thing that's keeping you guys here. And people are shocked when that goes away that you don't want to learn, because you're not actually learning. Now, what happened last spring is we saw what's really going on. We've been sweeping you guys under the rug thinking that, oh, look, they're learning. See, they got a grade. They were here. Instead of actually wondering, are they really learning? And as soon as those went away, it was like, oh my God, everything's falling apart. See, that's why grades are important. No, grades mask the problem. You aren't really learning. But we say you are because, look, they got an A. You can know 75% of the material in a class on a quiz and get an A. Let's be honest, right? You can BS your way through it. I did it. I didn't learn a thing until I got out of college. Started getting on YouTube. That's how I became a math teacher. So I want to change the game a bit. No grades, not really. Just feedback and learning. What do you think? Crazy, yes. Worth it? I don't know. We're going to find out. Hi. Hi, Katie. Hi, Annie. That's what we're going to do. I'll get you syllabus eventually. I'm on version like 14 now. As you can tell, everything's changing constantly. It is a matter of when, not if, we go to remote learning. I want my plan to be flexible, and I think it is, right? It's a portfolio, right? Doesn't matter if you miss 12 weeks. You can show me, hey, this is what I've done. That's A work. Great. I think it also cuts down on, oh, I missed a class and I missed a homework assignment, now I'm screwed, or I missed a quiz and now I'm screwed, right? No, that's not how it's going to work this year. I put on a bit of a show for you guys, as you can tell. I like to talk and be ridiculous. Last year we did stuff on Twitch, you know, twitch.com, right? That's what I had done before, streaming on there. I like that for lots of reasons. One of the reasons is because it gives you social interaction. That's the other thing you guys missed out this last spring. Learning happens in communities, and we separated all you guys. I've got a Discord channel where we do movie nights and game club, all kinds of stuff. I want you guys to be connected. I'm also going to start a blog this year. We wrote at the end of every week, more or less, like a reaction to the week, right? And it was BS. You guys all BS'd it. I know, okay? This year, we're going to be doing blogs where you write about your learning process and what's going on. You can mark it so that only I can see it if it's something personal. Or you can mark it and leave it open for everybody to comment and critique and kind of work together on math stuff. I'll be giving you interesting problems, much more interesting than this one. This one's fairly interesting. It's better than most math problems you get in a math class. But I'll give you more interesting ones. We might spend all day on them. We take our time. And if you want to work on it outside of school or do more on it, shove in your portfolio to say, hey, look, I thought this problem was interesting. Here's what I did with a bunch of friends. The blog will be the space to do that if and when we go to a remote learning, because you can critique each other's work. And if you're going around commenting on other people's blogs, giving them ideas or helping them out with math, I'll count that. Thank you. If you're helping them out with math, I'll count that towards your portfolio as well. So we're going to have a blog, we're going to have a portfolio, and that's going to be basically it. Will there be assignments? Sure. But you're going to pick them. I'll show you ideas up here, and we'll talk about them in class. You don't need to take notes if you don't want to. I'm not big on memorization. I feel like memorization should be a natural thing that occurs once you know something. I think a lot of you guys try to memorize stuff so you can pass that test. It's useless. You're going to forget it. You know how I have math memorized? Because I've done it so many times that it just naturally gets memorized. And if I don't have it memorized and I get a problem like 12 times 14, I know how to go about it. Again, the big brain play all your teachers have is we don't know what the future is going to hold. Hi, Cooper. So we have to teach them, all these things that are going to work in the future. We have to do our best, right? It's like, no, you don't know what the future is going to hold. So here's what you need to do. Teach them not what to think. Teach them how to learn. Because no matter what the future holds, if you know how to learn, you can figure it out. One last story and then I'll let you go. I used to be a music teacher. I taught music in the South Side of Chicago for 3 years. They come to me and they say, hey, Mr. Mack, we love that you're teaching these kids. It's great. Can you imagine me teaching kindergarten, right? Crazy. They're like, yeah, we love it. But here's the thing. We have no money for music anymore, so we're not going to have a music program next year. We need you to teach math. First of all, I didn't know we had money in the music program to begin with, right? And they say, can you teach math? And I'm thinking back to high school, me in the back of class. When am I ever going to use this? I was that kid, right? I was. And I'm like, of course I can teach math. I'm so good at numbers. Numbers, I love numbers. Numbers are my favorite. Numbers. Listen to this. 47, 25, root 2, 1,005,021. I'm a freaking genius. I can do this. And they're like, okay, so you'll teach AP Calculus next year, right? And I was like, thumbs up, 7. And that's how I got my first math teaching job. I went home, watched YouTube, learned how to learn it, taught it to kids, and it worked well. You need to be like that. Someday you might be forced to do something that you're not ready for. And if you know how to learn, you'll be fine. Go away! See you Monday. Hey, everybody. Stay on if you want. Obviously, I'm doing the same thing I did yesterday, so if you just want to check in so I can see your comment and then leave get attendance taken care of, that would be great. If you want to participate or not, it doesn't matter to me. It's all good. Oh, that was a rough one, guys. That was rough. I had my A game yesterday. Hey, Afton. I gotta go clean desks. I'll be back in a little bit. Anywhere you want, but don't sit yet because I haven't cleaned out these desks. Here, take it out. They're having you guys clean it. Stop laughing. You sound older. You look older. Hello, Jace.
Hello.
Whatever desk you want to go to, go clean it up. Hey, what's up? McCartney. I gotta grab you one of these things? Yeah, clean off your desk. I already sprayed it. Do you know if you contract corona through the butt? You need to wipe off the seats. I think so. Hi, Olivia. Hey, everybody. If you guys want to talk and chat to each other, you can do that. Yeah, it wasn't the strongest show. My A game was yesterday. I was going to write it all out. I'm super behind this morning. I don't think you know what you're talking about. Obviously, I needed to do that. McCartney's here, Schrader's here, Wagner's here. Sarah and Haley were waiting on to come in. Hi, I see Sarah and Haley. I'm Mr. Mack. Welcome. Have a seat wherever. You want to grab a little the napkin to clean off your desk? I sprayed it already. That's not sweat, I promise.
I'll sit right by you.
Oh, wow. Feeling the love. All right, so Blake, are you in chat? Let's see. Yep, Blake is here. Olivia Barons, Olivia is here. Campbell is here. Hi, Campbell. Corinne's like, I'm taking the day off. Corinne, if you're in chat, leave me a message. Theron, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Shion, are you in chat? Technically, it's not time to start yet, so I'll ask again in a little bit. But Annie's here. Yeah, feel free to chat, guys, and leave emotes or whatever. It's sad it's not Twitch, so we don't have like 200 different emotes to play with, but... Katie, Laura Lee, and it's Mika, right? And Jaden. Yeah, yesterday's class was definitely bigger. That was our 12-person class. All right, I'm going to go through my spiel again, so if you want to stick around, you can. But once you've checked in, you can take off if you want. It's up to you. Yeah, Afton's going on Twitch. Afton, I respect that choice. Afton, you should join Game Club. Oh man, I'm farther away this year. Kobe. Oh! Didn't recycle though. All right. Yeah, it's on Discord more or less. We'll do it through Discord and Twitch probably. All right, so welcome, students. It appears that everyone is here more or less. All right. Eventually, we'll set up Discord where you guys can like talk to class, but I don't have my sound system set up yet. Hello. All right, people who had me last year, you're not allowed to answer this question. Just enjoy the show. Remember the first time you met me? No. No? How can you forget? It's always pretty intense. All right.
Oh, yeah.
All right, newbies. Who wants to take a chance at pronouncing it? Cowards. What? Boo! Who told you? Landry? How do you know Landry? Aww. I love Landry. McAnally is what most people say because that's literally what it looks like. I mean, how could it be anything else? So the story goes something like this. I'm Scottish, but people thought we were Irish way back in the day, and that was bad because the Irish people got made fun of. They got persecuted or something, right? And so my family thought it was smart to change our name from this, with the A before the C, to A after the C, because they didn't want to get made fun of. I hope the irony is not lost on you, right? This would get us made fun of, because they might think we're Irish. Better change it to McAnally. No one will make fun of us then. So now I'm stuck with this curse. But the way we pronounce it, which I don't think is actually correct, but it's the way we do it because I think we got ashamed of how it looks and how it should be pronounced. Like Steak and Shake, Mac and Allie. You can call me Mr. Mac, Mac, whatever. I had a kid call me Derek all year last year. That's my first name, full disclosure. My dad is Mr. Mac, my mom is Miss Mac. They are both teachers. It's just my destiny. So yeah, that's my name. Welcome, everybody. As you can see, we have people online right now, and by people I mean Afton. That'll be you on Monday. Afton is on Twitch. Twitch is blocked from 8 to 3 by the school because they're not ready for it. They might see something that they're not supposed to see. Here's how I feel about that. When I was growing up, I wasn't allowed to play teen-rated video games or watch PG-13 movies until I was like 16 or 17. Okay? Because my parents are insane. But here's the thing. They say, he's not ready. He's not ready. You've ever heard that? Right? And they're right. Maybe you aren't ready. But the question is, what are we doing in the meantime to get you ready? Anything? No. They're not. They're just waiting until you become a certain age and they go, oh, okay, whatever. We can't stop them now. I think that's a shame. Now, we didn't really have Twitch back in my day. We had YouTube, and they would block it on all our computers. Luckily, they don't block it for you guys now. I think they're kind of forced to not, right? Given the situation. But back in the day, YouTube was blocked on school computers. And what happened was, as soon as we got out of school, we got on YouTube and didn't realize how great YouTube could be for education and for good. Because we were never prepared for it. Same thing with Wikipedia. They'd be like, oh, don't go on there. When literally Wikipedia is like the most reliable source you can find. It's got the smartest people in the world putting stuff on there for free because they really care about what they're doing, right? Now you find some stuff that's false, but it's not hard to figure that out. We didn't realize how good it was. No one prepared us to actually use it for good. And that's how I feel about Twitch. I feel like, yeah, you can go on there and find some, just chatting streams where people are doing a little more than just chatting. But in general, there's a whole lot of good that can be on there, including me. And we're not doing anything to prepare you guys for that. We're just saying they're not ready yet. And then blocking it. I think that's BS, but that's just my opinion. But anyway, we're going to have to get around that. As you can see, I'm still streaming to Twitch. You guys just can't watch it until after 8 o'clock or after 3 o'clock. I'm working to fix that. I found out yesterday the school has just as much internet to share between all of us as I have for just me at my house. In fact, it had half as much as I had until yesterday when they doubled it. They now have a gig for the entire school, which is what I have for me at home. Now, a gig is a lot for one person, and you know why I bought that, right? Because I knew it was a matter of if, not when, we'd go back to remote learning. My setup at home is much nicer. Not as many wires going around. I've got my nice PC instead of this piece of crap that I've had since I was in college, right? It's a much better show. But here I am. Safety first. So, yeah, don't get me started on whether we should be here or not. When it comes to safety, the answer is absolutely no. Although, spring was a disaster, wasn't it? Last spring. Now, the big brain 469 IQ play everybody's saying is like, I know why spring was a disaster, is because we didn't have grades. And I just sit there and think, oh my God, I'm surrounded by morons. So everyone thinks it was grades that was the problem. We didn't have grades, and so the kids, their feet weren't held to the fire, right? They could do whatever they want. They didn't have to show up, and that's why they didn't do anything. And they're partly right. But you see, grades and, the law are the only thing really keeping you guys here. Most of you would not be here if it were not for the law or for grades. Why? Because you don't really learn anything in school. You really don't. You memorize some stuff, take a test, forget it because memorization only lasts so long. You never really understood it to begin with. You get your diploma and you move on. I BS'd my way through high school and college. I never learned a thing. And it wasn't because I was a bad person and trying to BS my way through it. It was because that's how we're taught to do school. When you get good grades, it means you are good at doing school. It doesn't mean you're smart or that you're learning. And so, shocker, when the grades are gone and we want you to go and learn something, even though the way they're doing it is like, here's a video and here's a homework sheet. This is learning. We were shocked that you guys didn't show up. Don't they want to learn? Yes, they do. But you're not teaching. And part of that was not your teacher's fault. We didn't have access to cameras. We didn't have access to any of this stuff, right? It was all thrown upon us. What we did last spring was not remote learning. People keep calling it that. It wasn't. It was remote babysitting. It doesn't work. Remote learning could be a lot better. And I spent time this summer trying to convince people, hey, it's a matter of if not when we go back to remote learning. Some of y'all are going to get the cold. Not corona, but you're going to get a cold, and we're going to have to send y'all home. And it's going to cancel half of school. It's a matter of time. And then, God forbid, someone does get corona, right? But all you need is the symptoms. So we need to be ready to do actual remote learning. And I tried to get that done and pass through, but we focused on this plan more than that. So here we are, okay? I'm working on it. But the good news is that I'm removing grades. I'm removing the thing that makes you get good at school instead of getting good at learning. Here's what grades do. Last year I did this, right? I get a homework assignment, I spend all this time writing critique all over it, right? Oh, you missed a bunch of negative signs. You knew everything. You just missed negative every time, and you got half off because of that. So that's why you got a 50%. But the thing that happens, I give it back. The kids see the 50. They see the comments, right? Some kids don't even read the comments, but some do, right? But the only thing that sticks is the 50%. You feel like an idiot, right? You just give up. It discourages you from learning. Instead of mistakes being an opportunity to learn, it becomes, oh my God, right? I give you homework, right? You learn something in first hour, 9 hours later, you're supposed to go home, maybe even longer than 9 hours if you have sports after school or something, right? You have to go home and do it perfectly, otherwise you get punished, right? Like, well, we don't have to do it perfectly. Yeah, you do. Because anything less than perfect is less than 100%, and anything less than 100% brings your grade down. Right? You start at the beginning of the year with 100. Anything less than 100 is going to bring it down. We're punishing you for not learning something less than 12 hours ago. That's not how learning works. And so what do? Well, you either spend tons of time on it, go through a bunch of tears, right? Ask your parents for help, God forbid, right? And now they're crying and they're yelling. And you have this much stress over 10 problems that I gave you that really aren't teaching you anything. It's just trying to see if you know it, right? That's why I give homework, because I want to know if you know it. But here's the thing. How easy is it to cheat on homework? Incredibly easy. How easy is it to cheat on homework when we do remote learning? Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's so easy. Exactly.
Not gonna lie, I cheated on the test.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. Because the only thing that matters is grades. You've been told this since kindergarten, right? You get rewarded when you get good grades and you get punished when you get bad grades. No one cares, hey, did you learn anything today? They ask, what'd you get on the test? They get the homework. Did you get it done? Is the question your parents ask you. They don't ask, hey, is your homework worth the doing? Why should this take up your time outside of school? They don't ask that. Because the only thing they know, because they went through the same schools you did, is how to get good grades. And you have to do the homework. No questions asked. Obey authority. Jump through all the hoops. Get your diploma. It encourages you not to learn. The reward for cheating is great, right? It's a huge reward. The risk, very little. Now, some teachers will be like, okay, and that's why we need to increase the risk, right? If they get caught, it's catastrophic. But you're going to cheat anyway. And if you're not going to cheat, then you're going to be like me in high school and be stressed out the entire time until you realize, you know what? Who cares? I'm just BS my way through it. If I know it, I know it. If I don't, I don't. I'll be good at school. It discourages learning. So I'm getting rid of grades this year. I'm getting rid of homework. They're gone. Now, I can't get rid of grades 100% because, unfortunately, grades are the water we swim in, and I'm only allowed to drain this part of the pool, right? I don't control the whole school. So I have to be sneaky about it. But I want to get rid of them. Homework will be the exception, not the rule this year. If I come up with an idea of like, oh, I want you to go interview your parents or something, right? That might be homework. But unless I can think of a good reason of why it needs to be done at home, I'm not going to grade any assignments either. I'm not going to put a number at the top because as soon as I do that, right, your small little Neanderthal brains focus on that because you've been taught that since kindergarten. That's the only thing that matters, right? Instead of putting a grade on it, I'm not even going to mark things wrong necessarily. I'm going to put a little sheet on the front, and it's going to tell you what you did well and what you did not so well. I don't care if you did it all perfectly. There's stuff that you could have done better, maybe things that you might want to think about more, right? Maybe you did it really, really crappily. Well, I'm not going to point out every single thing. Why would I give you 10 pages of critique when you only have enough room in your brain to learn this much for now, right? We're going to treat this class like an English class. Everything's going to be a rough draft. Nothing final. You made a million mistakes? Great. All I'm going to say is, look, here's some things you can fix. Fix those. Come back to me, okay? So how am I going to get around grades? Well, some of you did this last year a little bit. What you had was nothing what I'm trying to do this year, okay? This is phase 2. Phase 1 would just give you a little bit of taste, and we threw it on at the end. The only real grade you're going to have this year is for a portfolio. You're going to collect all your work, whatever it is, whether it's something I gave you, something you came up with, a problem that we worked on in class that was interesting, that you did with your friends at home because you thought it was fun, right? Seriously, that happens to some people, even non-nerds, okay? We give good problems in here, and I'll show you an example of a good problem later. Hey, Jaden. So you're going to collect all that in a portfolio, either in a physical binder or online. You can do it electronically, right? And every week, at least once a week, I'm going to meet with you, either in person or virtually, and we're going to have a conversation about what you think your grade should be. And it's not going to be you say, I think I deserve an A. And I'm like, dude, you're playing Clash of Clans all week. I know you didn't learn anything. You deserve a D. And you're like, oh, okay, I guess we'll compromise on a B. Right? Got him. Right? Exactly. We're not doing that. Here's what we're going to do. You're going to say, I think I deserve an A. And you're going to hand me your portfolio and say, this is what I did this week. This is what I understand. And I ain't no dummy. I know who knows what's going on in class and who doesn't. That's why I'm a teacher. I'm good at recognizing that, whether you really understand it or you're just BSing it. I know firsthand what it looks like to BS a class, because I used to do it. I was a kid in the back of the class in a math room that would say, when am I ever going to use this? I used to be a music teacher. I didn't know I was going to be a math teacher. The irony, right? So that's going to be what's happening. Every week we're going to meet. At the end of the semester, you're going to turn in the portfolio with all your work, and you're going to say, and this is why I deserve an A in your class. And you'll know basically what your grade will be because we'll have met every week. You know, you'll know, most of the time I'm getting B's. Probably not going to get an A right at the end. Now, I don't care about the letter grade, and I don't want you to care about it either. Everything's made up and the points don't matter. The point is, you're here to learn, and we're getting everything else the hell out of the way. What do you think?
Like it.
Yeah, it's different. What's your last name? Gotcha. I have a student, and again, I can only see half your face, but I had a student last year that's older. I think she's a senior now, and she looks just like you. You have the same look. You seem skeptical.
Are you related to Mr. Weston?
Yes.
Who?
Mr. Weston?
Oh, Mr. Weston? I don't know who that is.
Science teacher.
A junior high? Dope.
My dad.
Gotcha. I went to school. I went to the same school as my dad. He taught science as well, but it was at the high school level. I remember what that was like. No worries, man. Teachers' kids. But anyway, that's the plan. We're removing grades and everything but name, right? And we're getting rid of homework unless it's 100% necessary. And let me tell you, it's not. Will we do quizzes and stuff? Sure, I'll give you assignments, right? But they won't be mandatory. If you want it in your portfolio, put it in your portfolio. You don't want it, don't do it. But don't come to me at the end of the week playing Clash of Clans the whole time, having done nothing, and say, you know what? I need an A. Now, if you can play Clash of Clans the whole time and come up with a portfolio that's kick-ass for that week, yeah, sure, here's an A. God bless you, right? Let me, if I'm in the way of you learning, get me out of the way, right? You know, you do you. But you just got to back it up. Is that fair? Okay. That's how it's going to roll. I feel like another thing that we lost in spring was communication and community, right? We separated you guys all out. You had no contact with friends. I have a Discord channel that I've done with all my old students and my new students. You can join if you want. We do movie nights all the time. It's totally legal. Totally. And very legal. And it's the most legal. And then we also do stuff like have conversations about math on there, video games, whatever. I have a Twitch channel. We play video games together. I've got Game Club where we play board games. Usually we do it in person, but now we're going to do it online. I've got some virtual tabletop stuff, and if you're worried about money for paying for that type of stuff but really want to try it out, I've got a bunch of free copies I can hand out to you. So I want to build community, so we're connected. I feel like one of the advantages I had last spring is that I already knew all my students, right? Because I'd had them for 3/4 of the year. And so when I'm on here doing the show, I can make jokes, have fun. I know what they like. I know how they learn, right? What I'm worried is that we're only going to be here another week before we get shut down, and I won't know you guys. So I want to have lots of opportunity to meet you in person and talk with you. That's what we're going to spend time doing in the next week. And then also, once we do go to remote, because we will, right? And half the time you're going to be there anyway. I want to have connections with you guys over Discord or through the other thing that we're going to do other than the portfolio, a blog, okay? I've got a website set up where everybody's going to have their own little blog, and you can mark each blog post as only visible by me, the teacher, or visible to everybody. And you can go around to other people's blogs, leave comments, discuss things, work on ideas together, and that'll count towards your portfolio. You're like, dude, I was doing all this work helping people with all this stuff this week. I posted all these comments, right? I know what I'm talking about. If you can teach it, you know it, in theory, right? I'll count that. Also, it'll give you a chance to interact and have fun. And I think that's important. We need to make school fun. We need to make it about learning. And luckily, I think the two actually go together. They don't oppose each other. So that's the plan this year. That's what we're going to do. It's going to be different. It's going to be weird. Meeting me for the first time is a lot. Okay? They know. They met me for the first time last year. It's always an experience. Okay? But you'll get used to me hopefully by the end of the first quarter, at worst, the end of the first semester. Usually that's when we start clicking. But it's different. The kids that struggle most in my class usually are the ones that are good at school. Because as soon as I take away grades and memorization, which is the only thing they've learned how to do for the last 10 years, they don't know how to learn, right? But it's better you do that now instead of ending up like me and going to college and realizing, oh my God, I don't know how to do anything. I think normal math class is a lot like this. Here's the story. This summer, got $3,000 work that I need to do on my car. It's time, okay? I don't have that kind of cash. Your boy doesn't have that kind of money. What am I going to do? Well, I learned how to learn a while ago when I had to become a math teacher. I used to be a music teacher. They asked me to do math, blah, 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 right? Okay. Went on YouTube, figured it out. Taught AP Calculus the next year. Then went and got a math degree, and I sort of have one. I'm 1 credit short. Long story. Not a real math teacher, guys. Only have a music degree. But anyway, they'll let anybody teach this class. So what I did is I went on YouTube and got the owner's manual and started reading through on how to do these repairs. Took apart the whole engine, put it back together. Took me like 3 weeks. Turn it on. Starts up, and then dies. Right? Crap. I start looking around for stuff. I don't know what's going on. I'm checking everything. I talk to a friend who's a mechanic and be like, hey, here's what I got going on. I've got these codes. I got a little code reader for my car. What do you think? Did I screw up the timing? What did is it something like that? It doesn't appear to be any of that, but is it, is there some magic I don't know about as a mechanic that you would, right? All I've worked up on is this. I followed all the steps. It should work. Is there something magic that I'm just not seeing that you have to be a mechanic to know about, right? You have to be a math person to know about. I hope you're seeing the analogy. And he's like, oh, no. Just read the codes, follow the steps, you'll be fine. There's probably just like a hose loose or something. So I go back in, and I find the hose. It's loose. I fix it, turn on the car. Ah, smooth, baby. Your boy did that. I ain't no mechanic. Look at me. Anyway, last thing I want to do is change the oil, look for a coolant leak, because I had one earlier, so change the coolant. And then maybe change transmission fluid. You don't want to always do that, because if you aren't changing it when you're supposed to, it gets really gunky. And I didn't change it when I was supposed to. And what happens is the gears grind. And so instead of locking together, they're more like this. And the only thing that's making them connect is that gunk that you have in there. And if you change out the old transmission fluid and put new in, it's not gunky anymore. And so they'll slide past each other. And when you put it in drive, it won't go forward. You put it in reverse, it won't go backwards. It'll stay. So it's like, I don't want to do that necessarily. I need to check it. It's getting super late out. It's hot today. It's going to be hot tomorrow. My stupid landlord doesn't like having your cars up on jacks because it looks bad, right? Classist, racist. Anyway, I don't have a garage. And every night I'd take it off the jacks, pull the stuff out, throw all my tools in my car, right? It's a mess in there. And then pull them out the next day. I don't want to drain the oil tomorrow because it's going to be super hot. I got to get the jacks out. It's a pain in the ass. So what I'm going to do is I can't see what's going on because it's dark out. But I'll go underneath the car. I'll drain the oil, right? Go underneath there, find the bolt, drain it, right? I'll drain the coolant. And then tomorrow, I won't need the jacks just to fill it back up because I can fill it up from the top. So I go out next day. It's not too hot out yet. I go out there, I fill up the oil, fill up the coolant. Didn't touch the transmission because I need to be able to see what that looks like. If it's super gunky, might be the only thing holding your boy together, right? So I pour in the oil, pour in the coolant, start up the car, smooth. Put it in drive. It goes backwards. Park it, turn it off. I just spent $1,000 to save $3,000, and if I screwed this up, I'm gonna have to pay $3,000 on top of that. Now, I'm not good at math, but that sounds like I just spent $4,000. I know I could have spent $3,000. I didn't touch the transmission. I didn't even touch it. I touched the engine, didn't touch the transmission, didn't even drain the transmission fluid. What's going on here? I know it's transmission. I used to drive a 87 Ford Ranger, my grandpa's truck, and its transmission went out. I was doing the exact same thing because I was driving and delivering pizzas, pulling in and out of driveways, right? So I know it's transmission. That's what's got to be the issue. But I didn't touch the transmission. It was fine before I touched the car. What's going on? Relax. We are men of science. Turn the car back on, put it in drive. Okay, it's moving. We're fine. We're fine. Maybe I was on a hill. Maybe it was just, something was weird, right? It was being weird. I'm in first gear, heading out of my apartment complex. I get to the end of it, and I pull into a parking spot so I can turn back around, right? Did a little test drive, but it's not feeling right. I can tell it won't go into second gear. I pull in the parking spot, go into reverse to try and get out of there, and it's not in reverse. It's in neutral. I'm just sliding backwards down the hill. Oh my God. Throw on parking brake, right? Now I'm in the middle of the thing, blocking the entrance. Something's wrong with this transmission. And I sit there and I'm like, oh my God, I just made a $4,000 mistake. And I have no idea what it is. How could I have done this? And a lot of time, that's what math feels like, right? You do math, you follow all the steps, you do all the research, you pay attention in class and write down all the notes, right? And then it's wrong and you're like, what the hell? There must be some magic element that I don't know about. You have to be good at math to be able to be good at math. And some people just aren't. Some people aren't mechanics, and maybe that's me. Well, I think for a little bit. Then I get an idea. Put it in park, pop the front. I check the oil. Pull out the dipstick. It's covered in oil, but that's normal. Wipe it, put it back in there. And if this much at the bottom, because the dipstick's real long, that way you can get into the engine. And at the bottom, it has a little meter. And if it's wet up to here, that means your oil's full. And if it's here, it's half, right? And I'd put it back in after it's been cleaned and pull it out. And instead of being here where it's supposed to be, the oil's up to here. I run back to my house. I grab the transmission fluid. I put transmission fluid in my car. Fill it up all the way. Close the hood. Turn on the car. Drive. It moves forward. Goes into second gear. Goes into third. I fix the problem. What did I do wrong? What was my mistake that I made? Any idea? Well, not only did I memorize the steps of how to do it, I didn't really memorize it, I followed the steps, but I understood how a car worked, and I was able to troubleshoot. I realized that the night before, I must have gone under the car, and instead of turning the oil and pulling that bolt out and draining it, I must have drained the transmission fluid. And so what had happened when I put in more oil, it just doubled the amount that was in there, because I never drained it. And then I never put in more transmission because I thought I didn't drain it. And so there's no transmission fluid in there. And that's why the oil was that high, and that's why the transmission wasn't working. Now that is knowing how to learn, knowing how to think. That's what we're going to do this year. I'm not going to teach you what to think, I'm going to teach you how. Oftentimes in math, we feel like, oh my God, you just have to be a math person. There's no way you can actually do well. And that's not true. It's taught like that. Memorize the steps. Everyone know PEMDAS, right? PEMDAS. Parentheses first. This is mathematics. PEMDAS is a lie that your teachers tell you because it works most of the time, and it gets the job done. Cross multiplication, a lie. Only works some of the time, but it works enough for your teacher to get you the good grade, so they teach it to you. I'm going to teach you how to understand what's going on, how to think, not to memorize. Let's talk about memorizing versus learning. Who did the ice cream thing, right, where they had to memorize their times tables and they got ice cream, right? The more they got, like you get a scoop of vanilla if you got your ones, and you get another scoop if you get your twos, and all the way up, right? And they called that learning. It's child abuse. All it does is make the people that aren't good at memorizing and aren't good at school feel like idiots. And they're not. They're just not good at memorizing. Neither am I. I think memorizing is a waste of time. You know what's really good at memorizing? A computer. You know what's really good at times tables? A computer. You know what computers suck at? Knowing why 5 times 5 is 25. Here's an example. You're not allowed to. 3 in the back, you can do this. What's 12 times 14? 12 times 14. Time's up. That's like a times test, right? They gave you those, and that's how they learned multiplication, right? BS. That's not how you learn. Who knows 12 times 12? You have that one memorized? Anybody? 12 times 12, what's that? 144, right? And maybe if you don't know, that's okay. You didn't have it memorized. But if you know 12 times 12, you can figure out 12 times 14. How? Add 12 twice, right? 12 times 12 is 12 12s. 12 times 14 is 14 12s. So if you know 12 times 12 is 144, add another 12, 156, add another 12, 168. But you never learned how to do that, did you? No, you memorized up to 12 times 12, and you were so smart. You got all the ice cream. But you can't do 12 times 14. You just add 12 on twice. You didn't have the thought of doing it. You know why? Because you never ever taught how to think, how to problem solve, how to go outside the box. And the box is, if you have it memorized, you're going to get an A. And if you don't have it memorized, well, you're going to get an F. Thanks, Mitchell. That was learning. Freaking child abuse. We're not doing that in here. We're not doing any memorization. If I ask a question that can be answered by a calculator, I don't expect you to answer it. It's a waste of your time, waste of your intelligence. Not learning. Memorization. Memorization should happen naturally. Like, I have the Pythagorean theorem memorized because I use it so much. So I naturally memorized it. If you're not naturally memorizing it, you shouldn't be memorizing it. Here's an example of a good question. Already a visceral reaction. That's wrong! I know, it's 14. No one cares. Thank you, calculator. That's not real math, that's calculation. Anybody can do that. And if you can't, oh my God, a computer can for you. My question is this. Why is this correct? Give me a reason. Any reason. I have a reason that I've come up with, but it doesn't mean it's the right reason. It's just one that I would like to share with you guys. But do you have any ideas why this might be right? Give me any reason. You can make stuff up. Think outside the box. 7 plus 7 equals 2 is what I wrote. Think creatively. School intelligence would say wrong, 14. Real intelligence would be able to come up with why this might be right. Any ideas? People in chat, any ideas? Be brave. There's no wrong answer. They're just more relevant ones, more interesting answers. They're related? What do you mean by that? In this class, we're going to learn how to produce arguments, support our stuff. Oh, okay, so Mitchell's saying those are actually ones, and that's why it's 2. Okay, that's an idea. I had a girl in algebra say yesterday, well, 7 is one thing, and 7 is another thing. And if you have 2 one things, then you have 2 things total, right? 7 plus 7 is 2 things. That's actually really smart, not dumb. There's a whole thing in mathematics called set theory that deals with just that. Real math. 2 times 7 equals 14? Sure, so there's a relationship between 2 and 7. You're saying 7 and 7 is related by 2 because they double? Yeah, that's a good idea. Here's my idea. Look at the clock. What does the clock have to do with this? Come on, people from last year. When is 7 plus 7 2? When is 7 plus 7 2? If it's 7 o'clock and you go 7 hours forward, what time is it? 2 o'clock. Okay. I don't want to grade you on the failed oil change like I did. You put the whole engine back together, you're a freaking god and you better get a grade like it, right? So what? You screwed up the oil change. What I want to grade you on when it comes to the oil change is how you react, how you think. Can you problem solve? That's what matters. And that's what made me really great in that story and really smart. And I wasn't dumb because I screwed up the oil change. I was smart because I figured out what was going on. That is what this class is going to be about. We're going to be doing a lot of writing in here. So be ready. What's up, Decker? I love the NG picture, by the way. That's what we're going to do this year. Interesting problems. And this one's really short. It's not that interesting, but it's a way more interesting, a hell of a lot more interesting than most math problems you get in a math class. And this is baby stuff compared to what we normally do in here. You are going to have to think. Most classes, all you have to do is memorize. And that's hard to do for humans. Thinking we are really good at. We just got to wake it up. We've been told not to for the last however many years. That's what we're going to do in here. This is actually a thing in mathematics called mod 12, where it means after you get to 12, it repeats back to 1. There's mod 6, mod 5, etc., etc. We use it all the time, and it's very helpful for figuring out mathematics. It actually has to do with division a little bit. You take 24 divided by 12, that means you're putting 24 in mod 12. Well, how many times do you pass 12 and 24? You pass it twice. 24 divided by 12 is 2. If you didn't catch that, it's okay. I'm not teaching it, I'm just talking about it. There won't be any notes this year. You can take notes if you want, but I talk pretty quickly. And notes help you memorize things more or less, because I need to write it down, otherwise I won't memorize it, right? You ever hear that one? I don't want you to memorize it. I want you to sit, watch, and engage, and think. Because that's the only thing that's going to matter. You won't be tested on this stuff. There is no, will this be on the test? Everything's in the portfolio. What do you think? My rules in here are pretty simple. We don't use slurs of any kind. I feel like teachers freak out when you use the F word, and there are way worse words than the F word. Like calling someone gay is a slur. Or the N word. Or saying retarded is a slur. I get pissed when I hear that. The F word, it happens. As long as you're not doing it at people, right? Sometimes you're going to be doing math and be like, God damn it, right? And that's fine. I don't care. Try not to make a habit of it. If your neighbors don't want you to do it, I hope you would respect them, right? And if you don't want me to do it, please tell me. I actually almost became a priest, pastor. I still might. So, we're clear. But I'm from Butt Scratch, Illinois, just like you. I say it affectionately. We do not say the R word. If you need to use the bathroom, there'll be a sign-out sheet or a computer there to sign out and sign in. I don't care. It's not my business. If you want to go without signing, go without signing. The only reason they want that is, one, pandemic, right? They only want 2 people in the bathroom. And 2, if something were to happen in the bathroom, like someone got beat up or something, or there's graffiti all over the place, I want to be able to say, look, it wasn't my kids. My kids are good kids. They were only in there for 2 minutes. They couldn't have kicked the crap out of the kid in 2 minutes, right? Or wrote 12 different words on the wall, right? That's why. It's to protect you. I don't care if you sign it or not. I'll see you guys next time on Monday. Go jump online, get on YouTube. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. First time meeting me is always intense, like camping.
Are we in class Tuesday then?
In class Tuesday, I don't know. I don't know. Check your schedule, whatever you are. I'm not a guy who knows things. See you later.
Have a good day, man.
Elephants are a great animal. All right, that was better. That was closer to my A game. How we all doing? A little better. It's all improv, man. Thank you, Afton. All right, so we got third hour next. All right, doesn't look like anybody's here early. Steven, are you here? Mr. Zhang? I do. So, well, that's good to hear. So the way it works with early dismissal is that I have all my classes in a row because my prep period is 7th, where I don't have a class. And then 6th hour becomes before 5th, and 5th is my study hall. So that's what's going on there. What's up? Hi! No, you might want to clean off the desk first. Here, let me go around and spray. Guys, I'll be back. Don't sit down yet. Hey, Josh.
I'm sitting.
I forgot to bring a backpack. I hope I don't get a lot of books today.
Oh,
You're not getting any books from me. I don't get any books. Books are lies. If you want to grab a thing. Hi! I missed you so much. Grab a little napkin over there and clean off your desk.
I'm sitting in the back. Sitting here.
So most people I've met before. I don't think I've met you. What's your name? Max? All right, nice to meet you, Max. Currently playing GTA. Okay, see you later. Bye, Theron. You're
I
sad?
still haven't gotten my Switch.
Really?
Yeah.
But you ordered it?
I didn't order it. I just.
Well, that's why you didn't get it yet.
I
then.
know.
Okay.
But I haven't even. My dad made me
What?
get one. I don't know what lunch I have.
Okay, I don't know either.
It should tell you. What's your schedule?
I don't know things. I don't know things. Yeah, 5A is open,
So that'd
but
be
you have
A.
5B, so you must have A lunch, right? Is that how
Wait,
it works?
I think if it
Yeah, I
says
don't know.
5B, then it's B lunch.
Okay, then you do. Look, you help.
No,
okay?
because I don't know, because look at the time difference too.
Can I go ask Lainey?
Yes, please. Yeah.
I'm gonna go ask Lainey, get this.
Hang on.
Do I have PlayStation? Yes, I do. I don't really play a whole lot of video games, guys, unless it's for Game Club, because most of the time I'm doing teaching stuff, even at home. And my PlayStation isn't hooked up right now, because it's normally hooked up to my computer, and I have a giant system, right? But half my computer's here.
So, if I sew.
Lindsay, are you in chat?
I think I have chem after this.
Maddie, are you in chat? Skylar, Carter?
Skylar's rolling on?
Yeah.
Yo, what's up,
My
Skylar?
nose hurts. I've been wearing this thing since 7:20. What do I have? I have English. Oh, I have English after this. So
Skylar.
Hey.
Bro, I've been working all
Yeah.
the time.
I
I'm
have
at McDonald's.
PE
I've been
with
working like 2 to 10.
Wow.
Getting tons of hours. Getting paid
What hours
$12
do
an
you
hour
have
now.
Oh, good for you,
I don't
man.
have PE this
$12 an
semester,
hour, that's
so
almost what I
supposed
make.
to be in marching band
At McDonald's.
And that counts as
I'm still a
PE
crew member.
for first
I do
semester.
everything.
I'm making 19, baby. Hi, Lindsay.
Stinky. I know.
All right, let's do attendance really quickly. Lindsay, you said you're here. Geneva, are you in the chat? Can you leave a comment? Skylar, please leave a comment. Maddie. Carter, I didn't see you, so can you leave a comment? Josh? Okay, got it. Okay. Anybody seen Cliff? Sawyer? Okay.
Cameo on the live Multistream.
Adam's here. Anybody see Caden White, or is he doing online? I know Steven is.
Wait, oh yeah, that Kate White. Not that.
Caden with a C.
Yeah.
Is Bartos on a classes period? Are you cold? Huh? Are you cold? Yeah. You want my sweater?
All right.
Okay. I'm like constantly freezing, so I had to freeze.
Carter, Maddie, Skylar, Geneva.
They find it?
I wore this, so I'm like walking to school at 7 a.m. freezing.
Oh. Who's Miss Howard?
The teacher.
I know, like, where's her room?
Like right above us? No, not above us.
Well, I mean, you can find
All right, you're back. All right.
Oh, the lady that took our temperature.
All right. So you've not had me in class.
I haven't.
You've not had me in class.
I have.
Okay. But you guys have. All right. So things are going to be different this year. We're in phase 2 of my evil plan to save the world.
Yay.
So there's that. I'm gonna leave the people that aren't here absent. If you end up being here, tell me, and then I will mark you present. But Lindsay, I got you. You're good. People that are here, I'm basically going to give my same spiel as yesterday. If you want to hang out for that, that's cool. If you don't want to hang out for that, that's fine. We're just getting the year started. Normally we'll have different stuff every day, though. Okay? So feel free to stick around and see if my spiel today is better. I'm kind of on my B game today. All right, so first things first. People that know me, so just you. You're the only one that gets to play. I hope you're brave. That's my last name. How do you pronounce it? Damn it. Who'd you talk to?
Been in your class.
Grace.
Oh, so Grace.
And Demery.
Gotcha, and Demery. Gotcha.
Max. Weren't you in her class? In his class?
No.
He came in to Vandermine because we were having trouble.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
First semester.
No. Not true. Not true.
I swear.
This is my first time ever having Max's. Nope.
No, I literally sat where Adam was sitting.
Well, there goes my joke.
I was in Vandermine the whole time last year, I swear.
Well, anyway, it looks just like McAnally, and I'm pretty sure that is actually pronounced McAnally.
That's how my brother's pronounced.
I'm pretty sure it's actually pronounced that, but we changed it because it looks bad. See, the story goes is that I'm Scottish, and that I guess we didn't want to be seen as Irish because there was persecution, right? They're getting made fun of, to put it another way. And it used to be spelled like this, with the A before the C, and now they put the A after the C because they didn't want to be made fun of, right? They wouldn't be thought of as Irish. But see, the irony is now that it looks like this, I get made fun of way more.
Yeah.
Right? Stupid ancestors, right? Oh, hi, Geneva. I'll mark you here. Eating chart. Present. All right, so Mac and Allie is how you say it, kind of like steak and shake, right? 2 people. I go by Mr. Mac or Mac. You can call me Derek if you want to. I don't prefer that just because it's just kind of awkward. You know what I mean? Like, I'm cool with it, but other teachers might walk by and be like, okay, so why are the kids using your first name? Are you guys, like, closer than you should be? And I'd be like, no, right? Okay, no, we are not. There are strict boundaries. I just don't care about the name. Like, for some reason, that's like an indication of like, oh my God, there are no boundaries. No, there are. I hate all of you equally. All right, so Mr. Mac. My dad is also Mr. Mac. He's a teacher. He used to be retired. And then my mom is Miss Mac. She's also a teacher. So it's just kind of my destiny to inherit this name. So that's who I am. It's so much farther away than it used to be. Kobe. No. I gotta get better. Also, the bin's not set up correctly. But anyway, we will eventually.
No.
I'm just like Mr. Weston, and Mr. Weston is awesome.
No, not at all.
Okay. Well, anyway, the mics will be set up so you can hear people that are in class when you're at home, and they can hear you, right? So we can have a conversation back and forth. Eventually, I'll have Discord set up where people, if they want to, they can actually talk through my speakers and participate when they're at home. When you're here, I'll just, we'll just talk.
Every day.
Last year I did Twitch during the spring, and we're going to talk about how spring went and how it didn't go very well and why it went pretty poorly, at least according to me, and how we're going to make a difference this year, because it is a matter of it is a matter of when, not if, we go back to remote learning. That is just the truth. I don't think it's the best, but that is what we'll end up doing. What we did last spring was not remote learning, just to be clear. That's not remote learning, okay? And I'll explain why, okay, in a little bit. But anyway, I did stuff on Twitch last spring. It was really fun because we had all kinds of different emotes. You could show up. I had a thing set up where I have a soundboard that I can hit buttons on this little thing over here, and it'll hit sounds. I do a lot of SpongeBob references. And also, you were able to, oh, hi, Maddie. You were also able to, as a student, if you were watching the stream for long enough, to collect points, and those points could be used to activate the soundboard, and you could do whatever sounds you want, even your own. I had a kid named Thomas Schlaffer, who's no longer here. He's over at Sterling now, which is very sad, very funny kid. Spent up 1,000 points. Like, he just watched every possible stream, even when he wasn't supposed to be in class, right? And he saved up all these points, and he used it to make his own sound. And it was very funny. I didn't know it was funny, but apparently it was very funny. In the middle of my teaching, all of a sudden I hear someone spent 1,000 points, and then the sound comes on. Right? And everybody thinks it's really funny. I'm like, what's going on? I'm a drummer, right? So it's like, I'll look this up. I should not have looked it up. Anyway, so I thought it was fun, right? Kids had a reason to show up to my class because it's a bit of a show, right? You never know what's going to happen. You never know what I'm going to say. You know, you got the kid in the back of the class that's always making jokes and being ridiculous. And you're like, what's he going to do next? He's going to piss off the teacher? No, I'm that kid, okay? Right? I'm always funnier than all of you. That's just kind of how it happens. Not because there's a rule, but because I just am, okay? You're not that funny. You're really not. Some of you are okay. This guy was all right, right? My general rule is get funny or shut up. And if you're not being funny, it's just better for everybody's self-esteem, especially yours, if you don't try to be funny. You know what I mean? But if you are funny, I'll laugh. It'll be fine. It'll be great. And I encourage you to try. There's no penalty. All right, so in this class, everything's made up and the points don't matter. I'm trying to get rid of grades this year, and I'm definitely getting rid of homework. That's the plan. Last year I did it differently, but this year I'm doing it this way. Now, homework I think is a waste of time for these reasons, right? The general reason that people give homework, teachers, is they want to know, do you know your crap, right? They give it to you, give you practice, right? It builds work ethic. Studies show that's all BS. It doesn't do any of those things. And here's why. Homework is like 5 or 10 problems in here. That's what I did last year, 5 or 10. Okay, so there's not a lot of problems, so it's not a lot of practice, right? And if it's more practice, it's more time you have to spend doing it, and most people just give up and don't do it anyway, right? There's too many problems, especially when it comes to math. Now, the information I get is about this much when I give homework. Not a lot. It gives me a little bit of insight whether you know something or not. Mostly, I get that insight from just being in class with you. I know whether you know it or not. You might surprise me a little bit on the homework, but not usually. Now, the reward for cheating on homework is huge, right? Gigantic reward. Saves you time, makes sure your grade's perfect, etc., etc. There's all this incentive for you to cheat. And you've been told since kindergarten that the only thing that matters is the grade, right? You get rewarded when you get good grades, you get punished when you get bad grades. No one cares how you get them, right? You get homework sent home and your parents ask you, did you get it done? They don't ask, is it worth doing? How'd the quiz go on Friday? You do well? Not, hey, what was the quiz about? How was school today? You stay out of trouble? Not, did you learn anything today? They asked the wrong questions. Why? Because they went to the same school that you did and learned that learning is memorization and following the rules. And that's BS. So homework doesn't really tell me what you know because there's a huge incentive to cheat and there's very little punishment, right? And so you do it. And if you're not doing it, you're a sucker, right? Or like me in high school, right? I didn't cheat at all, but I BS my way through it, you know, and was good at school, and then I was completely useless when I got out of it, right? You don't learn stuff in school. You really don't, the way it's currently constructed. So I want to get rid of homework. I think it's a giant waste of time, and it just encourages you to cheat, and it takes away your ability to learn, because all you're focusing on is getting that grade. I think it's also true for grades in general. I feel like the pressure is to get the grade instead of actually learn stuff, and not only do you feel that pressure, but teachers do too. We center our classes around grades instead of actually learning, which I think is a shame. Now, unfortunately, grades are the water we swim in, and I can't change the pool, right? All I get is this classroom. This is my domain. Everywhere else is going to be grades, and so I have to conform to that. So I have a way of getting around it, my evil plan to save the world. What I'm going to do is this. There will be no assignments that are graded in here. You will receive no numbers at the top of your pages, no letters, okay? At least individual ones. Because here's what I do. I spend all this time grading, right? And I write all this critique. Hey, you got a 50 on this, but if you just pay attention, you just missed a minus sign on all of them. If you fix a minus sign, you're perfect. You know what's going on. You just made a small mistake, right? But even the people that do read those comments, which most people don't, all they see is the 50%. They feel like crap and they feel like idiots. And they're once again told for the millionth time that they have been in school that you are not smart and capable of learning. And this defeats the purpose of education. So I'm not going to write a number or a letter at the top of your page. Every assignment you do that you want graded, reviewed, I will write a critique, some remarks. Maybe you did really well, and here's some stuff you can improve on. Or did you think about it like this, right? Or can you tell me a little bit more about that so I really know you get it? Like, how deep is this kid's understanding? I mean, maybe they really know what they're talking about, right? Or maybe you didn't do so well. And instead of bombarding you with 12 pages of things you need to fix, right? You know, I can just be like, here's the first 5 things you need to fix. We need to fix these issues. That's what it's going to be about. But how do I fix that with, you know, everybody else doing grades, right? I got to give a grade at the end of the day. So here's what I'm going to do. At every week, in person or virtually, we're going to meet together individually. And you're going to come up to me, and you're going to present me your work for that week. You're going to call it the portfolio. It's going to be different than what we did. Okay, relax, okay? You're going to call it a portfolio, and you're going to say, this is why I deserve an A. Now, maybe it's a physical thing, or maybe it's online, right? I don't care. But you're going to present your argument for why I deserve an A, or why I deserve a B, or whatever you want to argue, right? But you got to present evidence. You can't just be like, I think I need an A, and then I say, well, I think you need a D. And you're like, okay, I guess we'll compromise on a C+, right? Winner. We're not doing that. You have to present your argument. This is geometry. That's what it's all about. Presenting an argument. We're going to do a lot of writing in here. It's just how this type of math works. It's not about numbers so much. We're going to get used to that. And you're going to argue your grade every week. Not at the end of the semester, not a portfolio that we talk about and then ends up, you know, showing up random at the end, right? It's going to be from the beginning, the only thing. And every week you're going to show up with what you got, and we'll discuss what's good about it, what's not, what you need to improve on. And by the end of the year, you'll turn in the whole thing. You'll say, and this is why I deserve an A in your class. By then, we'll kind of know, yeah, that's probably what you need, right? Or maybe you had a B the whole time. It's like, yeah, this is why I deserve a B. And I'll be like, yeah, makes sense. You did B work all the way through, it's going to be a B. Now, how do I rectify this with your parents? Because your parents are like, they need grades. You're not preparing them for college. You're not preparing them for the next year. First of all, yes, I am. I've been to college. Everything's made up and the points don't matter. True. Talk to your professors. Be like, hey, I feel like I know this, but I did bad on the quiz. Can I talk to you and explain it? And be like, oh, yeah, sure. Oh, yeah, we'll change it today. Right? Happens all the freaking time. In the real world with work, you present your portfolio, right? Here's why you should hire me. It's not, look at my grades. No one cares about your freaking grades. The minute you get into college or trade school or whatever you're doing after high school, your first job after high school, no one goes back and looks at your high school grades. No one. The minute you get your first job after college, no one cares about your grades in college either. It's all a bunch of lies and hoops to jump through. I'm teaching you how to think. The 42069 IQ play for all your teachers is that we don't know what the future's going to hold, right? So what do we teach them? Oh my God, what do we teach them? We need to teach them 21st century skills, right? And we're struggling to figure this out. You know, how do we adapt the curriculum? But that's not the 42069 IQ play. If you don't know what the future's going to hold, you can't just hope we get it right and teach them. You need to teach them to be ready for the future. And how do you do that? You don't teach them what to think. You teach them how to think. You teach them how to learn. Because no matter what the future holds, you'll learn it, right? This is true in my life. I used to be a music teacher for 3 years, taught in South Side Chicago. Then the funding ran out for music teaching. They're like, hey, we need you to be a math teacher. My first response was, I didn't know we had funding to begin with. You mean we had funding the last 3 years and now we don't? I mean, we had it before? Because I didn't see any of it, right? But can you teach math? And I was thinking back to high school when I was a kid in back to class being, when am I ever going to use this? And my response to them was, of course I can teach. I love, I'm so about numbers. Listen to this. 1 million, 1 trillion, 5 billion, 8,000, 29. And they're like, damn, this guy's good. I'm like, yeah, I am. I still have a job, right? And they're like, yeah, I am. Okay. And so when I went, they're like, okay, you're going to teach AP Calculus next year. Oh, okay. I was so good at calculus in high school. I remember BSing my way through that. I have funny stories about that class. Anyway, I won't tell them today. So I went home and I watched YouTube and I learned how to do math all the way from the ground up, adding numbers, etc. Like I already know how to do it more or less. Like I have memorized. I know 5 plus 7 is, right? And I'd be like, okay, 12 would take me a while, right? But I wanted to learn how to teach it and how to like understand it. And then I eventually got to calculus, and then summer was over, and then I had to teach AP Calculus. And I was still watching YouTube while I was teaching it. I'd watch YouTube, and then the next day I would teach it in class. And I really understood it. It wasn't like I was just copying and pasting what they did. I really understood what was going on, understand the concepts. I could teach it. Better than some teachers could after having gone to school for it. And it worked out really well. I taught math differently. I wasn't the kid that always knew math and became a math teacher because I've always been good at it. And if you don't get it, it's like, why don't you understand? Follow the steps, right? They've never struggled. They have no idea how to teach it because they don't know what it's like to not know it. But I did. Oh my God, hell yeah, I did, right? I didn't know what I was doing. I knew nothing. I had to learn it all, just like you guys do. And it worked really well for those types of kids. Now, my type of teaching usually fails those, or at least doesn't. It's not as smooth of a transition for kids that normally know how to do school right, get A's and D's, etc., right? They're good at memorization. They're good at following directions. I don't give directions. I don't have you memorize. And so they're out here floating in space going, oh my God, ah! And they've never learned in the last 15 years, right? They've just memorized crap. And now when they don't need to do it, they're screwed, which is exactly what's going to happen when they graduate and they go into the real world. Because the real world doesn't ask you to memorize. You have Google. The real world doesn't ask you to be a calculator. You have a calculator. It asks you how to think. We've never asked you to do that. So I'm changing the game. I teach geometry because I think it's a good way to teach people how to think, not because I think geometry is useful and you're going to use it the rest of your life. If you ask the question, when am I ever going to use this, and the teacher says, oh, you will, they're lying. Funny story, and I told this last year. I had a kid in my class named Scott Chaputis. Scott kind of looked like this all the time. He was high as a kite, constantly, doing pen flips all the time. He's a good skateboarder. But anyway, Scott Chaputis sitting in class, and old Miss Fraley always had her hand behind her back, writing in chalk on the chalkboard, right, like this. And she goes, students, this is algebra. This is important. This is your future. And Scott responded one day, I'm never going to use this, Miss Fraley. Miss Fraley says, Scott, certainly you will use this. This is algebra. And Scott, no, I won't. Not going to use it. It's like, well, Scott, what kind of job do you want to have when you grow up? Miss Fraley, very devout woman, old Norwegian, very pure. We must protect her at all costs. And Scott responded, I'm going to be a Chippendale. Miss Fraley's face went red. She turned back around to the board and started teaching again. Now, Scott didn't become a Chippendale as far as I know, but maybe dreams will come true someday for him. But the point is, you might not use this stuff. That's not the point of us teaching it. We're not teaching you skills because, oh, you're going to go out and be a mathematician, right? We're teaching you how to think. That way you can be whatever you want. That way when you become a music teacher and they ask you to be a math teacher, you can do it and get by and learn something while you're doing it. And if you like it, maybe discover something new about yourself. That's the point of education. Not what to think, but how. So we're going to focus on that this year, and how we're going to do is the portfolio. We're also going to do some other stuff with a blog where you can mark the comments where only I can read them, or you can share it around for other people to read, and you can comment on each other's blogs, think of new ideas, talk about math, talk about learning, whatever, and you will get points for that. Points, right? There are no points in here, but points towards your portfolio. If you're like, man, I was answering stuff on the blog, my friend and I were working on this idea, we had this interesting question in class, and we were working on it outside of school or even in school, I don't care, right? I'll count that towards your grade. It's all learning. Let's talk about an interesting question. Kinds of questions I ask. Now, this is not a very good question, but it's a hell of a lot better than most questions your math teacher asks you. If your math teacher asks you a question of what is 7 plus 5, and the answer is something, right, a number, and there's only one answer, it's a waste of time. Just wait for the smart kid to raise their hand, the kid that's good at school, the kid that's memorized stuff to answer it, and then you move on, right? The rest of the time, it's punishing you for not having it memorized. So I don't ask those questions. If your calculator can answer it, I don't need to ask you. What's the answer? Terrible question. Terrible question. It's 14. If you don't know, oh my God, you made a mistake. Who cares? I have a better question. Not, is this correct? Duh, it's not. It's supposed to be 14. The question is, why is this right? Can you think of a way why 7 plus 7 would equal 2? Don't be afraid. There are no wrong answers. They're just more interesting ones. These are the types of questions you'll be asked. And this one's kind of a baby one. It's not that interesting, but it's way more interesting than what you normally get asked. Any ideas? Get creative. I have a specific idea that I thought of when I made this problem, but that's not the only idea. I've had plenty others pop up. Yeah. Gotcha. So there's some kind of relationship between 7s and 2s, right? There's 2 7s here, right? That's another way to think about it. I had an algebra kid point that out the other day, like, oh, there's 2 ideas, right? Idea plus idea is 2 ideas, right? That's true. There's actually a whole field of mathematics called set theory that would count those as just 1 idea each. Real math, like that puts people on the moon. So you might be like, oh, this is made up. No, like, it's useful. Mathematics is invented when people play around with it. We don't discover math, we invent it. It's true. And then we find out it's useful later. Usually mathematics is about 20 years ahead of physics. We found something cool that's like absolute nonsense that leads to some really crazy finding, right? How can that be the answer, right? But it makes sense. And then physics is like, oh yeah, that actually is what happens inside a black hole. Go figure. Or it turns out the entire universe isn't flat or straight. It's actually curvy. Time is curved, turns out. Math knew it before Einstein did. Any other ideas? I'll tell you mine, or at least give you hints for mine. Not because mine's right, but because I kind of want to like see if you can guess what my idea is. Look at the clock. What does a clock have to do with this? When is 7 plus 7 2? Hey! There's something. That's one I haven't heard. That's actually not what I said. So he's saying there's a line connecting them. That's true. I mean, technically there's a line connecting any two numbers, right? You can draw a line between any two. So his answer is not wrong necessarily, but some might say it's less interesting. I thought it was interesting. You know what I mean? Because once you realize like 1 can go to 7 as well, and 12 can go to 7, right? If you say straight line through the middle, it's close enough. Right? I think that's good. How else is 7 and 2 related? 7 plus 7 is 2. Think of a clock. For my reason, right? You can think of your own, but like, I'm trying to give you hints about mine. People at home, if you want to play along, that's fine. If you've already seen this spiel, you're more than welcome to leave. You already checked in. Any ideas? Both the hands can land on 7. 2 hands on both on 7. Sure. So if I did 5 plus 6 equals 2, I could say both hands on 5 and 6. That's really clever. Well done.
So you take, when you get to 7, and you add 7 more, you go back to 2.
That was what I was thinking, but that's not the only way. That's really smart, though. I like that. I like that idea. Does the plus sign have to be plus? You know what I mean? Who says? Question authority. But that's what I was thinking. And the reason I thought that, hi Carter, is because in math we call this mod 12, that after you go to 12 you go back to 1. There's mod 6, mod 5, etc., etc. And when you think in terms of mod, it actually makes division and a bunch of other math a lot easier, and you find out stuff about numbers that you didn't know before. So when you start on 12, and you add 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. And again, this isn't the best problem, but it's way more interesting than anything you've ever been asked in a math class before. Baby stuff. We might spend all day on some problems like this, just thinking of new ideas and different ways of thinking and exploring what you say. You're going to lead this class more than you normally do. Not 100%. That's phase 3. I'm on phase 2 this year. I want to get there. I want more democracy, not less. Kobe. Oh, it's so close. Those of you watching at home, I made it. You have no proof. All right.
Sure.
I'm 3 for 3, baby. Anyway, I told you about the car story, right? Sorry, this is my 3rd time.
What?
Did I tell you about my car?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna tell you what I did this summer. It's my 3rd or 4th time doing this today in a row. All blurs together. I did it yesterday too. This summer, I'm not a mechanic, right? Look at me. Right? I'm not a mechanic. But this summer I had to do $3,000 worth of work on my car. Either someone was going to get paid $3,000 to do it, or I would do it, and I would do it cheaper because I wouldn't charge labor, right? I'd get parts, etc. And so I don't have $3K. So I had one choice. I got to do it myself. So what did I do? I did the same thing I did when I became a math teacher. I got on YouTube and learned how to do it. I found the instruction manual, the owner's manual, all this stuff, how to switch it out, all that. I took apart my entire engine, put it back together, replaced a bunch of stuff, a couple belts, water pump, etc., etc. Fixed a coolant leak, all kinds of stuff. When I went to turn on the car, it started up after I was done, right? For a little bit it was going, and then you could hear it starting to die, and then it just kind of crashed, right? The engine. Like, crap, what did I do wrong? Check everything, make sure I followed all the steps. I did. I call my mechanic friend, like, hey, here's some of the codes I'm getting, here's what I'm hearing. What did I screw up? Here's what I was working on. I took the whole engine apart. Could be anything, right? He's like, no, I don't think it's any of the stuff that you worked on. It sounds like there's just like a hose that came loose while you're working. I was like, oh, okay. That's good news. I'll check that out. I found a hose. It was loose. Put it back in. Turn the car on. It's perfect. I felt before I called him that there must be some kind of magic that only mechanics know about, right? I can read the whole book. I can learn all I can about it. But unless you're a mechanic, you're just not going to know this thing because you have to, someone has to tell you. Right? It's like my grandfather's first name. Do you know it? No. Are you stupid because you don't know my grandfather's first name? No. I'm going to tell you his first name's Herb. That's true. Are you smarter now? No. But that's how we measure smartness in school, right? Stupid. Knowledge accumulation. There's always stuff you don't know. All of us are morons. Okay? But anyway, there was no magic to it. But I feel like in math class, there's a lot of times where we feel like there's some magic, right? I followed all the steps. I tried my hardest, and it still came up with, I got a 0 on the paper or something. I feel like an idiot, right? Shouldn't be like that. I took the whole frickin' engine apart, put it back together. I'm a frickin' genius. So what if I missed a hose? The story goes on. It's super hot out, right? In my apartment complex that I'm living at, they don't want your cars up on blocks or anything, right? Because they say it looks trashy. It's really just racist and classist. But anyway, I have to take all the jacks off and put them in my car because I don't have a garage, right? Throw all my tools in my car every night when I'm done. I've been working on this for 3 weeks. Last thing I need to do after now the engine's all put back together and I've replaced everything is do an oil change, do a coolant change because I had that coolant leak, and then maybe do transmission fluid change. Now your transmission is a bunch of gears that lock together, and when you shift gears, it actually pulls them apart and shifts up to a different gear to change when your engine spins one time, how many times your wheels spin. Smallest gear, your engine spins once, the wheels spin once. But if you go to higher gear, go faster, engine spins once, the wheel spins 10 times, right? That's the idea. So one spin of the engine, same amount of work, gets a lot more movement. Really smart system. Well, anyway, I don't want to change the transmission fluid necessarily. I need to look at it because I haven't changed it when I was supposed to. And what happens is those gears get real grimy and they kind of grind a little bit. And all those metal flakes get in the transmission fluid, which makes it more thick, makes it gooey, right? And those gears start, instead of looking like this, start looking like this. And they can slip, right? Here, they're connected, so they push. But here, they might slip. And the only thing that might be holding them together is that gooey transmission fluid. So if you change it, now all of a sudden your transmission's crap. You just bought yourself a new car, right? So I don't want to do that until I've looked at the transmission fluid. It's really bad. I just need to keep it in there and just pray that it, doesn't fall apart. So I don't change that, but I drain the oil. I drain the coolant. And then tomorrow, instead of having to put it up on jacks in the hot sun, right, doing all that work just to change it, right, I've already done it the night before, and I can just fill it up, right? Because to fill it up, you just open the trunk, or open the hood, and just pour it in, right? Super easy job. I won't have to be out in the hot sun again. Now it's dark. I can't see what I'm doing. But I've already got the car propped up. I can see enough to get under there. I find the bolt, right? I undo the bolt, drain it, right? Drain the coolant system, all this stuff. I don't touch the transmission because, again, I got to be able to see what it looks like to be able to decide whether I should or shouldn't. Don't want to screw that up. And then tomorrow I'll just fill it up, right? Put the bolt back in, all that stuff, so it's not going to, when I pour it in tomorrow, just go out into the bottom of the car, or the ground. And the next day I wake up. I go out there, I pour in the oil, as much as I need to fill up the whole tank. I look up how much it's supposed to be. It's definitely my car make, right? It's for about 5 quarts. Same thing for the coolant, fill that up, use the correct amount, it's completely dry, right? I start up the car, it's no big deal. I put it in drive, and I go backwards. Oh. Put it in park, and I'm thinking to myself, your boy didn't touch the transmission. All I touched was the engine. I know what a transmission problem is. Transmission makes you go forward or backwards. It decides which way the engine is going to push you, right? The engine just pushes. Transmission tells whether to go forward or backwards. I've had this issue before when I delivered pizzas. I was driving an 87 Ford Ranger, a truck that my grandpa had. And I was driving that delivering pizzas. You go forward and backwards a lot going into driveways, right? That eats up your transmission. And it did. And I had to, it wouldn't go anymore. Engine was running fine, but it wouldn't go forward or backwards. I had to get rid of it. So I know what a transmission problem's like, but I didn't touch the transmission, just touch the engine. Once again, I'm thinking there must be some mystery thing that I don't know about that only a mechanic would know. So I tried again. I'm like, okay, I'm on a hill. Maybe like the oil and stuff and transmission fluid is in the back of it, and it's been here for 3 weeks without doing anything. Just try it again. Turn it on, put it in drive, moves forward. Okay, good. Solve that problem. Take it out of my apartment complex. I'm driving down the road to get back to the main road, right? And I go to the end. There's a couple more parking spots. I want to go out on the road because I'm not really sure. As I'm driving, it feels kind of weird. I can tell it's not going into second gear. It's staying in first, but it's not going to second. I can't go faster, right? And so I pull into a parking spot to turn around, and when I pull into the parking spot and go into reverse, it's not going in reverse. I can tell I'm just sliding down the hill. I have no control. Press down on the gas, it's not going any faster. Press down on the brake, it's not going any slower. Throw on the parking brake. Something's wrong. Something's wrong with this transmission. I didn't touch the transmission. How could this be, right? I'm so frustrated. I hope you see the analogy in math here, right? But after about 5 minutes of freaking out, I get an idea. Turn off the car, pop the hood. I check the oil. Now the dipstick's real long, that way I can reach down to the engine. And the bottom part has a little meter on it. And if the bottom part of the meter is fully wet up to here, that means that the oil is full. If it's up to here, it's half full, etc. So it's how you check your oil, right? Now when you first pull it out, it's got oil all over it because the engine's been splashing around, right? So you have to clean it off, and then dip it back in there, and then pull it back out, and check to see where it is. Now when I checked, the oil's supposed to be here. When I checked it, it was up to here. You know what I did wrong yet? I go back to the house, I grab the transmission fluid. Because I was going to change it anyway, right? I had it, just in case. I go back to my car. It's blocking the entrance, right? And I pour in all the transmission fluid as if the transmission was empty. About 4 quarts. Shut the hood, turn on the car, put it in drive. Smooth sailing. Goes into first gear, goes into second, goes into third. Problem solved. You know what I did wrong? Do you know how I solved it? What did I do? I what? I did. The night before, when it was dark and I went underneath the car, there are 2 bolts. Not all cars have 2 bolts. Some just have the oil. I'm used to working on one that just has the oil bolt. So with the first bolt I found, I turned and emptied. And it was so old, the transmission fluid, normally it's red, it had gone black like oil. So I'd emptied the transmission, never emptied the oil, which is why when I poured oil in the next day, it just doubled it, right? So I have too much oil in there and no transmission fluid. So I had to go back and buy some more oil, drain the whole thing, because now it's all corroded, right? It's got crap in there and good oil. So I had to drain the whole thing, get rid of it, and put brand new oil in. But I solved the problem. Now, I took the whole damn engine apart and put it back together, and I was a freaking god. But I screwed up an oil change. That's like you doing math. I did the whole thing together, understood it really perfectly, but I messed up all the negative signs or something, right? Or I wrote it, 10 instead of 10 watermelons. Good God. I hate teachers like that, right? And you get a grade that says you don't know what you're doing. And you know what? You believe it. Even though you're a freaking genius. You messed up an oil change. I don't want to grade you on that. I want to grade you on the engine part. And if I'm going to grade you in the oil change, it's not going to be that you screwed it up. It's going to be that you figured out what was going on and you were able to fix it. That's knowledge. That's learning. If I just followed the steps, which I did, that's not learning. I would have never figured out, you know what, this is what I screwed up. I would have had to have the car towed because I can't drive it. Go to a mechanic lot, and they charge me however much they want because this dumbass doesn't know what he's talking about, right? Oh, you need a new transmission, bud. Yeah. No, when it's full dry. That's what we're going to assess this year. That's what we're going to learn. That's the plan. That's what I believe education can be like. And I think we need to get the grades the hell out of the way, and homework needs to be abolished. What do you think? Blog posts. Communication between you guys. Communication between me. That's what it's all about, baby. In the spring, we didn't have that. That's what made you guys fail. They blamed it on no grades, but that's ridiculous. See you later. Have a good one. I missed you all.
Yes, you too, Mr. Mac.
First experience is always a little interesting.
See you, Mr. Mac.
Bye.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye. I'm so happy you're in here, Nevaeh. All right, Carter, I will mark you here. I know, Mitchell. You just been watching my stream the entire time? Oh, I'm gonna get to see Lexi today and Olivia and Demery. And Jordan. Hello. Hi. Don't worry, the mics are not on, but we are live. You can sit wherever you want, but I would encourage you
Mr. Mack.
Hi, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
So, I would encourage you to take one of these and wipe off your desk. If they're still wet, it's because no one sat there last time. It's not because they sweat all over the place, I swear. You guys know if corona can be contracted through the butt? Because if so, we need to wipe down the seats. You know?
I don't believe it
Did
is.
you get butt corona?
I hope not.
Okay.
These are my good pants. I do not want my pants. Coronavirus.
Hey, what's up? Nice shirt.
Hey!
We are live. The mics are not on, so don't worry about it. But we are live.
We are live.
Yep. Oh my god. This is the only time I get to see the back of my head. Yikes. Not a good look.
Jamie, I can get my papers done. I was gonna wear that shit today. You should have. We had a match. Oh.
What's up? Mics aren't on, don't worry.
I'm darn.
They're not on. Just mine. They'll be on later.
Can I do mine?
You what?
It's nice. So wherever.
Yeah, wherever. I gotta give you my spiel.
I like your green screen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So you can see more of what I'm doing on the paper instead of having to see, like, you know, stuff that doesn't matter.
You're evolving as a streamer.
Yes.
He's evolved. He's a Pokemon.
That's right.
Well, yeah, you gotta get a thing.
We're gonna play a game. People that know me and have me last year are not allowed to play.
Ah.
Sorry. You already know the answer.
Oh. Lexi.
Well, I know about you, but I don't.
You know, so it's not so.
Good.
I
How are you?
remember this. I was very confused. I remember
Getting
taking
back
this class.
Brad.
I don't know if I remember what I think I do.
Don't be so excited.
I remember last year, and I don't even know about that.
Yeah? You know, yes, me neither.
Wait, you have good news or bad?
I think it's good news. Most people have thought it's a really good change. We're in phase 2 of my evil plan to save the world. Last year was phase 1. The further we get along in the phases, the more perfect we get. Last year there were problems, which I knew were going to be, but it was necessary to get me started. All right, so I think this is everybody that's supposed to be here. So we're going to play a game. First thing, I say your name, you say here. Jamie. Good job, that was fun. Gage. Richmond, no. CJ's here. Andrew. Here. Awesome. Demery. Hey, we speak no evil. Olivia. No? Okay, so no Olivia. Olivia and Gage, if you are in the chat, please leave me a message and I will mark you present. But for now, I'm going to mark you absent. And then Lexi, you're here. Okay. So people that did not have me last year, so that's you two. You get to play this fun game that I start every year when I tell people who I am, which I'm not going to tell you who I am. Guess who I am. Okay, so for $100, just kidding, not $100. I can't do that anymore because you guys are all talking. Snitches get stitches. All right. How do you say my last name? Who wants to take a shot? Don't be cowards. Do it, Jamie. Jamie. Pete, go.
I want to attend. Back and Ellie.
Okay, yeah, he's great.
Yay.
Come on, look at it.
Try.
Mick Anally. Come on.
Mr. McDormand coming in the first day I started here and asked me how to pronounce it.
Yep.
I'm scared too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Everybody remembers their first time. All right. So Mac and Allie.
Me too.
So-
Sadly.
Yeah, it's quite an experience. So Mac and Allie is how you say it. It's kind of like Steak and Shake. It's two people, right? Mac and Allie. I usually just go by Mac. The story goes for my name is that I'm Scottish, and my family way back in the day didn't want to be seen as Irish on accident because originally it was spelled with the A before the C, and apparently that's more Irish sounding or something. I don't know. That's how the story goes, at least. And they didn't want to be persecuted. They didn't want to be made fun of like the Irish were. They wanted to be Scottish, right? So they switched the C and the A because they are Scottish, and thought that this would somehow make them less persecuted. The irony, right? Because now I have to walk around with this last name, which clearly says McAnally. There's no question about that. Why do we pronounce it McAnally? Because it is pronounced that way? No. I'm pretty sure someone was like, okay, we're just going to change that. And then they did. So it's Mac and Allie. That's what they tell me. My dad is Mr. Mac. He's a teacher. My mom is Miss Mac. She's a teacher, and I am also Mr. Mac. And my sister is Miss Mac. She's also a teacher. My other sister is a doctor. She's Dr. Mac, I suppose. I don't know. She's the smart one. She's the youngest. She decided to go and help people and make money doing it. Hi, Maddie. Madison. You said you didn't care either way. Let me mark you present. Okay, you're present. Troy, Logan, Isaiah, anybody else? Can you say you're here? That would be great. Anne Marie, Cooper. For now, I'm being pretty forgiving. Please say you're here. Maddie, if you want to miss the spiel today, that's fine. If you want to just log out now, because I'm just going to go over the same thing I did yesterday, more or less. Normally, we'll do different things every day. Okay. All right. So, there we go. So, how class will work is I'll be the little man on the screen right there, and then I'll do stuff here with my document camera, and you'll watch this. You'll watch it at home, and you'll watch it here. In fact, before we did Corona stuff last year, this is how I did class, basically. I just had another desk over here, so you could see me easier. Now I need to hide over here so I don't have to look at your ugly faces. I mean, catch coronavirus. And that's where most of the action will be happening, okay? Mics will be on so you can communicate and people can hear you at home. And you can communicate with them. Right now, they're not on. I just got a new soundboard. I have to work out some kinks. My old one crapped out on me. But I'm used to doing this. I used to be a music teacher, became a math teacher. It's kind of an interesting story. I taught music in Southside Chicago for 3 years and taught K through 6. Can you imagine me teaching kindergarten, right? Anyway, I loved it. But the problem was that they came to me in the end of the 3rd year and they said, look, we love having you here. The kids love you. This is all great. But the problem is we don't have any money for music anymore. And my response to that was, wait, we had money before? I didn't realize we had money. There was money? I didn't get any money. Wait, there was money? And they're like, no, we don't have any money anymore. It's like, okay, I heard that. And so what's going to happen is we're not going to have a music program next year, but we do need a math teacher? Can you teach math? And of course I looked at them and I was like, yeah, I can. Sure, how hard can it be? Look, 1,000,000, 5,000. I love numbers. 29, 87. Look at this. And they were like, damn, this guy's good. I'm like, yeah, that's right, hire me. And they did. They let anybody teach, apparently. And then they're like, okay, so you'll be teaching AP Calculus next year. Bye. Okay, so I'll teach AP Calculus to seniors at the high school level. I taught kindergarten. Okay, yeah, it's basically music and math are just so the same, right? No, they're not. Everybody that says that, no, they're not. Okay. So what did I do? I went home and I watched YouTube for an entire summer and then watched it while I was teaching and retaught off of YouTube. And now, over the summer, I started from the beginning, adding, subtracting, multiplying. I learned how to do it, not to memorize it, right? Who in here? Hi, Gina. You can log out now if you don't want to watch the spiel again. If you don't want to watch the spiel, feel free to hang out. Leave comments, be obnoxious. So who did this? I know some of you did. In elementary school, where you memorized your times tables and they gave you like ice cream scoops.
Oh, yes.
Right? If you got the 1s, you got a vanilla scoop. If you got the 2s, you got a chocolate and so on and so on.
Oh, yeah,
right? This is not only not education, but it is child abuse, in my opinion. I feel like it abuses the kids that aren't good at memorizing and aren't good at school. And that's pretty much everybody. No one is naturally good at school unless they painstakingly are made to by their parents, or they're just like OCD to the point where they have to get A's on everything. Oh my God, I'll do anything, right? The rest of us are just trying to survive or BS our way through it. That was me. Okay, I went through college and high school without learning a damn thing. So, and got A's while doing it. So I don't think that's right. And the reason is this. I don't think it's actually educational. I think it discourages people and it teaches them very early that you're not smart and you can't learn, right? You can compare yourself to everybody else's ice cream. And literally, they got bowls of ice cream, right? You guys had actual ice cream at the end of whatever. Yeah, and you had like one kid with just like 1 scoop of vanilla, right? That's traumatic. That's not learning. And now I believe psychological scarring is a valid form of education because, again, you'll never forget, right? But I don't think it's really the best form of education, right? So I think that was wrong what they did to you guys. And here's how I can prove it's not educational. Who in here can tell me what 12 times... No, we'll do 12 times 14. Time's up. Sorry, that was a time test, right? That's how you learn multiplication tables, right?
It's 160 something.
Yeah, but you had class with me last year. Stop cheating. All right, so how did you come up with that? How are you coming up with it?
You separated.
How?
Magic.
Yeah, well, you sort of had class with me last year. These are second semester people.
What was the other
Yeah, exactly, right. She's breaking it up. So if you were taught, hi Jordan, you can Isaiah, you guys can log out now unless you want to stick for the spiel. Okay, it's the same thing as yesterday, except probably better because it's my A game today, right now. Anyway, so do whatever you want. I see you guys. I'll make sure you're marked here. So if I ask you 12 times 14, you don't know it. But I bet if I asked you 12 times 12, you'd have that memorized. What's 12 times 12? 144. Well, maybe you were the kid that didn't get all the ice cream, right? God bless you. Neither was I, right? But 144, you have it memorized, okay? 12 times 14. How would you figure that out if you know 12 times 12?
144 plus
12, and then add 12 again, right? 2 more groups of 12. You get what you smell what I'm stepping in here? 12 times 12 is 12 12s, right? 14 times 12 is just 14 12s. So if you already know 12 12s is 144, add on 2 more 12s, right? But you never learn that, and this seems shocking to you because we spent all this time in elementary school and middle school, apparently, having you memorize times tables. You know the problem with memorization? 1, you're going to forget. 2, you can't memorize everything. Eventually, they had to stop at 12 times 12. And now you're an idiot when it comes to 12 times 14. Right?
Yeah.
You were that kid that memorized 5 times 5 is 25, but maybe you struggled with 5 times 6. All you got to do is add 5 more. But they never taught you how to think. All they did was tell you to memorize. And eventually your brain's going to go. And also, humans are not good at memorization. We're just not. You know what's good at memorizing? Computers. Humans are not good at calculation. You know what's really good at calculating? A calculator. You know what calculators and computers can't do? Think. They can't have emotions. They can't have how and why. They don't know why 5 times 5 is 25. They just know they've been told it is. Why are we trying to make you into calculators? Why are we trying to make you into computers? We already have those! That's not learning. It's child abuse. I'm not going to ask you questions like that in here. I refuse. And here we're going to have better questions. Now, this is not a great question, but I guarantee this is a hell of a lot better than any question you've ever been asked in math before. Much more interesting, at least. If you ask a question in a math class and it can be answered by a calculator, it's a waste of everybody's goddamn time. This is a bad question. What's the answer? And we wait for the kid that memorized it to figure it out. 14. Good try. No big deal. Just because you're not good at calculation doesn't mean you're not a good mathematician. Usually it's actually the opposite. 7 plus 7 is 2.
Okay. All right.
Now, I'm not saying that that's right. It's wrong. But I'm going to ask you, why is it right? Can you think of a time when 7 plus 7 equals 2? Can you make sense of this? Think creatively.
Oh, yeah.
What do you have to say? 2 7s. We have 2 ideas. 7 and 7 is, that's an idea, makes 2 ideas. Brilliant. That's the second person that's done that. What's another way that this could be 2? And you might think that's not real math. This is useless. No, there's a whole field of mathematics called set theory, and it has to do with the idea of ideas and how to count them. So you're saying there's a missing number here? So you could treat this as a problem of how do we make it equal to? What would we do to make it equal to? You could subtract a bunch of numbers, right? What else could you do? You could divide by what? You can divide by 7. Because when you divide by 7, those both become 1s. Right? Or you could think of it as 14 divided by 7 is 2, right? You could add on to the problem. That's true. What about without adding on to the problem? Any other ideas? These are all good ideas, by the way. Yeah.
Addition and
Say it again.
the addition sign and equal sign.
Oh, move the addition and equals around?
No, there's 2 of them.
There's 2 of them. Tell me what I should write. What should it be? Oh, so the thing you said earlier or more upon that? It's just hard. Sorry, it's the stupid masks. And I have terrible hearing. I'm a drummer.
Pretty much the same thing.
You sure? Okay, if you come up with something different, tell me. Seriously. Any other ideas? I had an idea when I made this, but that doesn't make it the right idea. It's just one that I want to share with you eventually, but I want to know what you think, because usually you guys come up with better stuff than I do. The point is, how many right answers can you find, and can you justify them? That's math. I'll talk to you about mine. Oh, were you raising your hand? Okay, don't even look like you're raising your hand in here. I will call on you! All right, so I'm going to draw you a picture. giving you a hint about what I'm thinking about. Not because mine's the right answer, but because instead of just telling you, I just want to make it interesting. What do you think? What does this have to do with that? Think. That's what we're doing in here. We're thinking this year, not memorizing. You've never had to think before. I understand. We're starting from the beginning.
7 more numbers is 2, isn't it?
So you're saying we start on 7 and add 7 hours? It's 2 o'clock.
Yeah. Is it?
1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours. Yep.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking. We call this mod arithmetic, modular. And if you're mod 12, it means after 12, it repeats back to 1. We use this in math all the time. In fact, there's an entire field of mathematics built upon it. The clock just happens to be mod 12. It's the one you're most familiar with. But there are other mods out there. Ever heard of binary for computers, right? You have zeros and ones, and after you go to 1, you go back to 0, right? Turns out playing with your math is how math is invented. It's invented, not discovered. We make the rules. Question authority. That's what mathematics is all about. All the biggest badass mathematicians that ever existed, we're talking about Isaac Newton, Gauss, thank you, yeah. They were not afraid to bend the rules. Euler, I have a plant named Euler, I'll bring him in. Leonard is his first name, but that's where real math is done. Calculation is not real math. And they'll argue, math teachers will be like, well, they got to learn the basics before we start doing complex stuff. No, they don't. And especially not true because they never stop learning the basics, right? They're like, oh, well, they'll get to cool stuff later. But we never do we? It's the same thing when I used to teach music. Oh, you got to teach them the basics first before they can play fun songs, right? You can't have them playing, or singing Taylor Swift songs or playing it on the guitar, right? You got to teach them basics. They're not going to want to learn the basics. You have to teach them something that interests them. Last spring, we did something called remote learning. It was not remote learning. We did it remotely, but we did not learn. It shocks me to find out that most of the teachers here did not have cameras. That is not their fault. And so what they did was they recorded something on their Chromebook, a little screen capture, a 5-minute video or something, and then said, here's your assignment. And that was the learning. That is not learning. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. It's not their fault, but you didn't learn. And so when we talk about remote learning, I don't want you to think about last spring, because it is a matter of when, not if we go back to remote learning. We will be. It's a matter of time. There's no way. Statistically speaking, someone's going to get the cold, not corona, but a cold, and it's going to get everybody else sick, and we're going to have to go, got to get them tested. God forbid someone does get corona, right? And I hope you would. But it's going to, no, hope you would get tested. So we're going to have to send people home. And you're already doing remote half the time, right? But we didn't spend time trying to make remote better this summer, though I tried and I led the charge on that. We spent time on making this better, and we really didn't do much with it. I'll be honest. I found out yesterday that this school has half the amount of internet that I have at my house. And at my house, I only share it between me and my girlfriend. Here, everybody's sharing it. And they have half as much as I do. Now, yesterday I talked about it, and apparently all it took was a phone call. And they're like, oh yeah, we'll charge you for it later. Don't worry about it. And they doubled the internet. So now we're equal. The amount of internet at the school, after going through all that process, is equal to the amount of internet I have at home just for me. We still don't have cameras. We'll be here in 9 weeks if we're lucky. So we are so ready for this. But we're going to but again, it should not shock people. Like the teachers and everybody when you ask them more or less. And again, they're good teachers here. There are. But they have the 420-69 IQ play. They're like, okay, I know why last spring didn't work well. They didn't learn because there were no grades. No. Here's what really happens. No, they did. Well, there's some of that, but most of it wasn't their fault. Okay. What really happens is this: school is set up a certain way, and it's not set up to learn. The only reason you're here is because of the law and because you need the grade/piece of paper, right? The diploma. And if you didn't have those things, you wouldn't be here. Well, guess what? There were no grades, and there was no law or piece of paper that you're going to get. Everything was made up, and the points didn't matter. Now, I believe in a school that's set up where you want to be here because you want to learn. But the problem is that you guys want to learn. At least you do when you first go into kindergarten, right? You're so excited to go learn and go to school. And as time goes on, you're like, this isn't really what's going on here, is it? We're not really learning. That's not what school is. And you hate it. And you should. Because it's a waste of your time. The way we do it is a waste.
Is it Sweden or Finland who set up like that, where you only go to school
school for what you want to learn.
I'm not sure. Finland has a really good educational system, though. And here's the problem. We kill that desire to learn in you guys. You're so excited when you come in as kindergartners and so excited as first graders. And as time goes on, that dies away because we're killing it. And the reason is because we think the only reason you're going to be here is if we have grades. What grades really does is allows us to sweep you under the rug. Because you know how we know you're learning? Well, they got an A and they were here. They must have learned. When in reality, that's not true. And so as soon as grades go away and you stop learning, we go, oh my God, it's because there are no grades. No, no, no. Grades have just swept you under the rug and make it look like you're learning. And as soon as you actually have to, you're screwed. You have no idea about it. You have no idea how to watch a video and learn something from it. No wonder. Now, I don't think you should have to do that for remote learning. I like doing it live. But in theory, you should be able to turn on YouTube, kind of like I did, to become a math teacher, right? And learn how to learn. If you know how to learn, you can learn something you don't know. But instead, we're going to blame it on the lack of grades. Grades just hide the problem. Here's what I'm going to do this year. I'm getting rid of grades. I'm getting rid of homework. Now, I can't completely get rid of grades because at the end of the day, I'm not in charge. I'm only in charge of this room. And eventually, I have to report a grade to your parents and the school because everybody wants those grades. Oh, grades are not learning. How do we know? Right? Pretty easy. Walk into my classroom, ask them some questions. Pretty apparent they know what they're talking about. No, that was phase 1. This is phase 2. Phase 2 is still imperfect, just like phase 1, but it's getting closer. I only had so much power the first year, right? So, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get rid of homework unless it's 100% necessary to hand it out. Like, if I've got an idea where you need to interview your parents for some reason, I won't. But, like, if that's something I need you to do, it'll be homework. But unless I can justify it and be like, that's why this needs to be done at school on your time, or after school on your time, I'm not taking your time. Not doing it. They'll be like, well, how are they going to get practice for math? They'll do it in class and together. And if they feel like they need more practice, they'll do it. Okay, but how will you know if they're doing well or not? You need feedback. It's like, yeah, but homework, I get this much feedback because it's only a couple questions. How easy is it to cheat on homework? Very easy. How easy to cheat during remote learning? Oh my God. And how big is the reward? A ton. You get 100%, right? How big is the consequence? Nothing, right? And they ain't going to catch you. Right, even when I do catch it, right? Like, what am I going to do about it? So of course you're going to cheat. You've been told since kindergarten the only thing that matters is the grade. Doesn't matter if you learn something, right? Example, you get homework. What do your parents ask you when you get home? Did you get the homework done? Do you have any homework today? Not, is your homework worth doing? They ask you, how's your day at school? Did you stay out of trouble? They don't ask you, what did you learn today? They don't know how to ask those questions because they didn't have to ask them when they were in school. No one's concerned with what you're learning, just as long as you're doing it. Right? There's one word that sums us up. Obey. We are teaching you conformity. We aren't teaching you anything else. And the kids that are good at school are the ones that have the socioeconomic standing to be able to be good at school. They have meals at home. They have a supporting family. They get to go to a good school. They have free time to learn and play and grow. And the other kids that struggle with it usually don't have those things. Now, there are exceptions to that rule, but generally, better grades mean your parents probably made more money. And if parents had less money, you're probably going to have worse grades. If we're going to grade people on that, just give me your tax return and let's call it a day. You know what I mean? I think that's silly. I want to end that system. When I spend all this time grading homework and writing critique, hey, you got a 50% on, but look, you just missed all the minus signs. If you didn't miss the minus sign, you would have had it perfect. You know what you're doing. You just made a dumb mistake. You got the whole thing. You replaced, did I tell you about the car story yet?
I don't believe so.
I've done this 3 times in a row and 4 times yesterday, so I don't know. Okay, right. So you make a small mistake, and you get 50% off, and all you see, even though you maybe even read the comments, most of you don't, but if you do, right, all you see is that 50%. You feel like an idiot. And you shouldn't, because you know what you're doing. You got all of it right. You just missed the minus sign. Who cares, right? If you said, 12 times 14 is, I don't know, 160 or something close. Not even if it's close. Who cares if you got the answer wrong? How did you get it? Well, I took 144 because I know that, and I added 12 twice. Well, you screwed up adding 12 twice. But are you a dummy because you did that? Or are you smart because you thought of a really good way of doing it? I would argue you're smart. Regular school would say you're dumb, you got the answer wrong. I don't want to give homework because I think it's unnecessary. I think it gives me very little information, and most of the time that information is fake because you cheated, right? And of course you would, right? Because otherwise you got to sit at home, spend all this time doing homework. You got to ask mom and dad for help, God forbid. right? And now you're crying and they're yelling and then they're crying and they feel like, right? How about we don't and say we did,
Okay, deep
right?
Deep breaths.
How about we don't do that, but say we did, right? Do you have homework here? All the time, Mom. Is it done? Yes. Right?
I am a robot.
And it'll be true, because I give it an A, right? Well, what about grades? I had to have a grade, right? Yeah, it's true. I have an evil plan to save the world. Here's what I'm going to do, okay? Last year we did a portfolio, sort of, not really, especially for you two, because you were second semester. Yeah, you two. Were you second semester or first? You were middle of first, right? Okay, so it's different, so forget everything you know, okay? Here's what we're going to do. Every week we're going to get together in person or virtually, and we're going to have a conversation one-on-one. And you're going to come forward and say, this, I think I deserve an A or B or whatever, and I'm going to say, I think you deserve this, right? And we'll argue back and forth. Now, that'll be a grade for the week. Now, it's not just going to be like, well, I think I deserve an A, and I'll be like, I think you deserve a D, and you'll be like, oh, okay, fine, we'll compromise, C+, right? Hell yeah, right?
Yeah.
And that's how you do it, right? No, we're not going to do that. You're going to say, I deserve this grade, and here's why. And you're going to present me your portfolio. It's all your work from the week and before. And we'll have talked about it, and we'll have worked on it together during the week, so I'll kind of know where you're at, so I don't need to look through every single thing, but you'll kind of present your argument for why you deserve a certain grade. And I'll present my argument, and we'll put the grade in the grade book. We'll do this every week until the end of the semester when you'll turn in the whole portfolio. It can either be, physical or online. I don't care if it's in a binder, if it's electronic, okay? And at the end of the semester, you'll say, and this is why I deserve an A in your class. So the entire time you've been working on that speech, right? Collecting all the stuff, all your evidence to be able to say, this is my case for why I deserve whatever grade I think. I'm going to write comments on Skyward for your parents to see, right? We had this conversation. You brought this stuff up. This is what you've done this week. This is what you think you did well, what you didn't do so well. We'll have conversation. On your assignments, either I give them to you or you ask for them because you want more to put in your portfolio, right? I won't put a grade at the top. I won't even put a letter. I'll attach a sheet of paper that'll say, here's what I think you did well and here's what I think you didn't do so well. I can't use it and YouTube at the same time. It would be breaking the terms and conditions. What's up, Zach? Because I'm an affiliate. So I need to not accept that on my second channel. That's why. Anyway, because in theory I get paid by the ads. I haven't made any money, and I've been doing this every day since like March. I literally started break like August, the second week of August. That was the first time I didn't have to teach any kids anymore. I was helping them through summer. No. System failed you, right? I understand. So anyway, what I'm going to do is do the portfolio thing, and that's going to be your grade. We're also going to have a blog where you're going to write about your experience during the week, and I'll write back and leave comments. You can mark on the blog whether it's just for me to see, if it's something personal, or if you want other people to see it. You can have conversations, leave comments. That'll count towards your portfolio. If you've got an interesting question in your blog and someone answers it, they're going to get credit for helping you. You'll get credit for asking it. It's all part of the portfolio to show, here's why I deserve what I deserve. Here's what I learned today. And that's going to be the focus. That's where your grades can come from. Will there be quizzes? Sure, if you want them. Might I say, here's an assignment? Sure, but you don't have to do it. Now, if you sit in here and play Clash of Clans every day, that's fine, as long as you can present at the end of the week, here's what I did and here's how I know I did it right, or how I know stuff, right? Good for you. Get me out of the way. If I'm in the way of your education and you can do Clash of Clans and present some evidence that you know what you're talking about, great. But you better be able to do it, right? I don't care if you're on the phone the whole time. It's up to you. But at the end of the week, you're going to have to give an account of what you learned. And if it's not very good, you're going to get the grade you deserve. That's how it goes. That's the plan. That's it. We'll have a blog to keep in communication, because I feel like in the spring, we had very little social interaction, right? Social distancing, right? And I think you learn in communities. I've got a Discord where you guys can talk about whatever you want. I got video games on there, all kinds of different things that you guys, if you're into, like Animal Crossing, if that's what kept you sane, right? I play Animal Crossing on Twitch. You can get on there and talk about that. If you want to get on there and do a movie night, I've done movie nights with kids. Totally legal. Totally legal. All these movies I own and have paid royalties for. All of them. All of them. It's so legal. It's the most legal thing. Anyway, we do movie nights. We do game club. We do all kinds of stuff to keep you guys engaged, so you're not, losing your mind when we go on remote learning, bored out of your mind, right? And I want that sense of community to be there both outside of class and also within math, right? Talking about different ideas, working on things together. That's going to be the name of the game this year. There's going to be a lot of writing in here because it's geometry. You're going to have to support your opinions. It's not about the numbers. I tried to prepare you for this last semester. Stop fighting me, okay? So that's going to be the name of the game. That's how geometry is. It's why is this square? Not, well, squares have to be more than that. What do squares have to have? You have to be able to prove that it has all the sides the same and all the angles inside it the same. And can you do that? And if you can, you proved it's a square. But you have to argue it. That's what geometry is all about. So it's going to be a very different year for lots of reasons, but I think it's going to be fair. How do you feel about the grading idea? The portfolio, having the conversations? The key is we have to communicate. And I feel like that's why spring failed. There was no communication. And the only thing holding your butts in the seat are usually grades instead of learning, right? I'm getting rid of all that so we can just learn. I need to tell you a story. What I did this summer. Kobe. Damn it. I haven't made a single one this year. Usually I'm closer because my desk is normally over there. We gotta stay away from you guys. We'll bag the germs. So, this summer, I had $3,000 worth of car work I had to get done. Your boy don't have 3K. Doesn't have 1K. Doesn't even have AK. Oh, what's up? Former student of mine. Thunder Daddy Santa.
Welcome.
Good username. You'll have to come up with good ones on your own. I'd encourage you to use your own name so I can take attendance easier, but it's up to you. Okay, eventually I'll get to know you. In fact, for new people, I'll never learn your real name. I'll just learn your screen name, and I'll be funny. Be calling you whatever, you know. Nice. If your name doesn't have 420 or 69 in it, it doesn't count. All right, so anyway, math, right? Numbers. So here we go. Try to keep it appropriate enough. My rule for, I don't have a lot of rules in here. My main rules are don't use slurs. Gay, retarded, those are slurs. There are a lot of other slurs that I will not be saying, but those are included in slurs. If you're going to cuss, do it at math or at the gods. Don't do it at each other. Okay? If you use the F word, I would encourage you not to use it very much, but there are far worse words than that. Words that I said earlier. Gay, retarded, other slurs. I don't care about the F word so much. I'd encourage you not to use it a lot because other people get offended. If your neighbors don't want you doing it, I hope you would respect them. But in general, I don't care. I don't care. Okay? I don't care. It doesn't matter. Don't be jerks. That's my main rule. If you need to use the bathroom, sign out, not because I need to keep track of it. It's none of my business. The reason I'm doing it this year is because, one, if something happens in the bathroom, like someone gets the crap kicked out of them, they write stuff all over the ceiling, I want to be able to say it's not my kids because they're only in there for 1 minute, right? I won't look at it otherwise. If you don't want to sign it, don't sign it. It's up to you. It's for your own safety. The other thing is we only want 2 people in the bathroom at a time for coronavirus. We want to kind of keep track of that. I won't look at it. Again, if you want to leave without signing it, I don't care. Okay? Don't be a jerk to me or others. Be cool. All right. Bye, Andrew. So that's the general idea for rules. Don't be a jerk. Respect others. Don't use slurs. Just be good people. What I did this summer, $3,000, right? I don't have the money. So what I did is I looked up how much it would cost to do it myself, like buying the new supplies, all the stuff. You know, I'm not a mechanic. Saw if I could learn it on YouTube, kind of like I did when I became a math teacher, right? Looked up the owner's manual, all the stuff, figured it out. And I took the whole engine apart and put it back together. I replaced a bunch of different things, water pump, bunch of different belts, all kinds of stuff. Fixed a coolant leak. Go to turn it on. I've been working on this for 3 weeks, right? Go to turn it on, moment of truth. Starts up, and then engine dies. Shit, right? Because again, I just spent a certain amount of money. And if I have to go to the mechanic now I'm paying $3,000 plus whatever I already spent, right? To screw around on it. Might have screwed something up worse, right? Crap. It felt like I'd done all the steps and I did everything right, but I still got it wrong. Sound like math? What do I do? Well, I called my mechanic friend. I was like, hey, here are the codes I'm getting. I got a little code reader for my car, right? Here's what I've been working on. I'm worried it might be the timing that's causing this because that's the one thing that has to be set perfectly. And I followed all the steps, but maybe, you know, there's some mechanic thing I don't know about. You know what I mean? What do you think? He's like, no, it looks like you did everything right, at least according to the codes. You know, he's not looking at the engine or anything, but he's like, no, if you did the timing right and you followed the steps, and it sounds like you did, right? Maybe you didn't, but it sounds like you did, right? Sounds like there might be a hose loose or something that you just knocked loose. Like, oh. So I find a hose, looks a little loose, put it in, turn on the car, it runs. Smooth, baby. I'm a freaking genius, right? I just took apart the whole engine, put it back together. Ya boy, feeling great. Now, last thing I had to do is do an oil change and a coolant change because my coolant leak had drained all the coolant. Oil change because, baby, it's time, right? Transmission change, transmission fluid because you need to, and I haven't been. The problem with transmission fluid is that what it does is the engine runs and it turns the gears, and the transmission is the gears. And if the gears are going one way, your car goes forward. If the gears are going the other way, it goes backwards, right? Also, it shifts up in gear, first gear, second gear, third gear. First gear, if your engine spins once, this isn't 100% accurate, but it's a general idea. If your engine spins once, then your wheels turn once, right? Higher gear, if your engine spins once, the wheels turn 10 times, right? Do you see how that makes your car go faster, right? So, transmission is really important. I had to go out one time. I was driving an 87 Ford Ranger my grandpa gave me, a little red truck, doing pizza delivery, backing in and out of driveways. Puts a lot of wear on the transmission. And when your transmission doesn't work, it slips, right? The gears grind down and they don't connect. And so your engine's running, but your wheels aren't doing anything. So I had that happen to me before. You can see where this is going. So I changed the oil, changed coolant, but it's really hot out. And my landlord doesn't like cars up on blocks or like them up on jacks because it looks trashy or whatever, right? It's really just racist and classist. But anyway, so at the end of the day, I had to take all that stuff off the car, right, and throw it in my car because I don't have a garage, right? I got to throw all my tools in there. And then the next day, get it all back out again and jack it up to do more work. And I'm like, look, the only thing I had left to do is an oil change and a coolant change. I don't want to have to get it back out in the hot sun tomorrow and jack it up, drain the oil, wait for it to drain, and then pour it in. Here's what I'm going to do. It's dark out, but I can see enough in general to get under the car. It's already jacked up, right? Drain the oil and drain the coolant. So I did.
Just a couple quick announcements. Just reminders that after this period, you will go to your 6-hour class, and after 6 hours, you will go to your 5th-hour class. On your schedule, if you look at your 5th-hour class, it should be followed by an A or a B. A means you will go to lunch first, and then your 5th-hour class. B
You guys all know what you're doing?
You will go to your class first and then lunch. Also, I'd like to remind you that if you typically eat breakfast at school in the morning, you may pick up your breakfast. They are serving breakfast.
See you guys later.
Please come to the office.
It's either online or in person. I don't remember what's next. Check it out.
So what, we go to lunch now or we go to 6 hours?
6 hour.
By day.
See you later. You what? Yeah, right, when two particles, one does something and it causes the other to do something even though they're not really connected. Yeah.
Expected to be the only thing faster than light.
Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah, that's how they get supercomputers, more or less, right? Because it's instantaneous. Yeah? I'm not an expert in it, but you seem interested.
I've seen a couple videos of it.
Rad, man. Cool.
I watched some pretty complex stuff.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited having classes here.
But I forgot most of it.
I'm sorry?
But I forgot most of it.
Oh, that's okay.
Videos in the
That's okay. Understanding concepts was important. Cool. Rad, man. Take it easy. All right, so guys, if you want to log out, we're going into 6th hour now. If you're showing up now, tell me you're here so I can mark you present. Hey, what's up? Welcome. This must be algebra. Everybody looks like a freshman. All right. We're close to it. Definitely not juniors and seniors, right? Okay, good. Just want to make sure. I don't know things, guys. I just have to guess. You may sit wherever you want. I'm going to spray the desk first. If you want to grab a napkin